येन श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। सर्वशास्त्रादि पीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाढ्य सर्वलौकिक प्रद सर्वभागवत प्राणा श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिद्वंतोतिदादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाथाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वद सर्वसेवाय श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तुते। मद एक बंधु मद संगेन मद गुरुन् मद महादन मद निस्तारक मद भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते। असाधु साधु तादाइन अचिनीतो ताकरा हा ना मुंचा कदाचिन मां प्रेम रित तंतयोस्पुरः। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोक के भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। श्रृणुतां कथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनम हृदयन्तस्थ भद्राणि विरुणोति सुरसताम्। ग्रंथा श्रीमद्भागवतम की जय। Hare Krishna, everyone. Nice to see all of you. Thank you so much for joining. It's another session of the Bhakti Web course. So, devotees, comfortable, please turn on your cameras so you can have your darshan and get purified by your auspicious presence. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we are in chapter 4. So we complete chapter 4 and we'll be doing also chapter 5. Let's see how far we can get in chapter 5. But chapter 4, we have been discussing the prayers. One way, the Mangalacharan prayers of Sukadev Goswami before he starts the narration of the entire Bhagavatam. Right? So very important section and very beautiful prayers that we have been discussing. So before we start, would anyone like to share any realizations from last time's class or any thoughts that you have been meditating on the Bhagavatam? Okay, so if you don't have, then I'm going to ask questions. So first question is, why did Parikshit Maharaj ask question about the creation and not directly into Krishna's pastimes, knowing that he had only 7 days left? And we have read so many times how Parikshit Maharaj is a pure devotee of Krishna. Sukadev Goswami is such a pure, elevated devotee of Krishna. So both of them are so qualified. So why did Parikshit Maharaj ask question about creation and not directly go into the 10 kingdom? What's the answer, please?
Krishna Prabhuji, because we cannot understand Vrindavan pastimes until we understand the opulence of Krishna.
Yes, very much. How we read how Prabhupada is actually making this point that Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadev Goswami, they're setting the standard for all people to come. That we, okay, he's setting the standard for all people to come that we cannot relish the pastimes, the Vrindavan pastimes of Krishna until we actually understand the opulence, the aspect of the creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Parikshit Maharaj, still knowing that I have only 7 days left, right? Only very short time. But first, the creation aspect. And that is also the glory of the Lord that I can relish. And then further, I will relish the Vrindavan pastime. So when we hear this, that devotees, when they are interested to ask, they ask questions about the Ras Leela. First, first we understand Krishna in Kurukshetra, then we'll understand Krishna in Vrindavan. Right? Okay, so that was the first question. And then what are the questions that Parikshit Maharaj asked? Maybe we can list at least one or two. Anyone?
How Krishna is creating this material universe by the personal energies.
Okay, the first question in text 6 we read that how is Krishna actually creating this material universe through his personal energies? Okay, then he asked about like
what are the primary creation, secondary creation,
Sarga and Visarga. So he asked both these subject matters, which are 2 of the 10 subject matters of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sarga and Visarga, primary and secondary creation. And then the third question is also about the aspect of how the 3 modes of material nature are controlled from Karanodakshaya Vishnu and then through the expansion of Vishnu. So expansion of Vishnu, right? Coming down to Brahma and secondary creation. So do the agitation of the 3 modes of material nature, do they happen simultaneously or do they happen one after the other? Right? So that will be the question. Yeah. And then we are reading the prayers of Sukadeva Goswami, and we'll just quickly go through the overview. We complete up to text 18, so we'll doing 19 to the end of the chapter today, and then proceeding to chapter 5. So you can just look at the verses. I'm going to very quickly go through the verses. So text number 12, that's where we start, the first prayer. Yeah, okay. So in text 11, it's already said that how Sukadeva Goswami, after being asked these questions by Parikshit Maharaj, what did he do? He systematically remembered the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the important word there is, what is the name of Krishna that is used in that verse? Rishikesha. Rishikesha, because it is a Lord that actually inspires the senses of all of us. Right? So because the Lord inspires our senses to speak, Sukadeva Goswami is saying, first I need to systematically remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then from text 12 onwards, he starts, he has the prayers. Chapter 4. So in the first prayer, he actually, first of all, offering obeisances to, so there are 2 aspects of the Supreme, right? What are the 2 aspects? One is
greatness and sweetness.
Greatness and sweetness, right? So first he starts off with the greatness aspect, and then he actually glorifies the Lord, and he actually says this first he offers obeisances to Namaha. Namaha, we see the word again and again, and he actually first offer obeisances to the unlimited power of the Purusha avatar. So just in one verse, he is offering obeisances to the Lord who is expanding as Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, right? And at the same time, it is saying that this same Lord, he is accepting the 3 modes of material nature and manifesting the forms of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Everything. 3 Purusha avatars, 3 Guna avatars. All these is actually offering obeisances. And this Lord is so great that he's actually expanding the 3 Purusha avatar and 3 Guna avatar. Right? And then he also uses the word Anupalaksha. Anupalaksha means it is actually very inconceivable to see how the Lord, who is actually transcendental to this material nature, is accepting the roles of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, and in that way managing the 3 modes of material nature. Right? Okay, then next text 13, he actually comes after greatness, comes the sweetness of the Lord. right? And when you think of the sweetness of the Lord, the aspect that we think about is the Lord's mercy upon all living entities, right? So in text 13, he actually says, Bhuya Namaha, again I offer obeisances. To whom? Sadvrijinachite, that personality who actually removes the distress of all the devotees, and he awards liberation to all the devotees. Then Asatam, Asambhavaya, and how does he treat the atheists, non-devotees? He actually stops their further sinful activities by either personally killing them or through his agents killing them. But he stops their sinful activities so that they don't have to suffer further. Right? So that is, and then also the word that is Paramahamsaya Anumraya. Mridya. So basically that it says how the Lord, he actually gives the proper destination to the Paramahamsa. And who are the two Paramahamsas that we discussed? One is those who are the impersonalists, and to those who are the impersonalists who actually want to merge into Brahman, who are actually Bhakti Mrish Jnanis. What is the destination the Lord gives? He gives the bliss of Brahman, right? And those who are devotees, what does the Lord gives to them? He gives them the bliss of prayer, right? So he is so perfect that he gives the Mrigya, the perfect destination to all the Paramahamsas. And that's all in the sweetness of the Lord. Then in text 14, he talks about both power and sweetness. And he actually says the two words that are actually indicating that is Radhasa, that indicates the power, that actually says Nirasta Samya Ati Sharna Radhasa. That no one is equal to him, no one is greater than him. His transcendental opulence is immeasurable, right? And then what is the aspect of Ramyasa, sweetness? Sweetness is that the Lord, he actually is transcendental to this material nature, right? He is actually beyond this material nature, but he actually appears to take birth in the family of the Yadu just to actually have exchange with the devotees and just to protect the devotees. That is the sweetness of the Lord. Right? So offering obeisances to both greatness and sweetness. Right? And then now next text 15. So further from 15 onwards, he's actually saying how the Lord Tasmai Subhadra, what's it? Shavase Namo. Right? I hope everyone remembers this. Tasmai Subhadra Shavase Namo Namo. Right? So basically he's saying this all auspicious supreme personality of Godhead. If anyone does Kirtanam, Smaranam, Ikshanam, Vandanam, Shravanam, Arhanam, anyone does any of these activities, what does the Lord do? He does Vidunoti Kalmasam. He washes away all our impurities. And Prabhupada says at once he washes away all our impurities, provided these things should be done without any offenses. Right? And that is the glory of the all auspicious Lord. Just coming in contact with him through any of these processes, the Lord will personally come and take away all our anarthas. Vidunoti kalmasam. Right? Then next verse, text 16, he actually says, those who are intelligent, those who are vichakshana, what do? They actually take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. They charana upasadana, they dedicate oneself to the lotus feet. And what is the result of dedicating oneself to the lotus feet of the Lord? What happens?
The Brahmagati.
Brahmagati. Yes, Brahmagati. Very nice. So 2 points are actually mentioned. One is Sangam Yudhyasya, right? One actually, all our attachments to this material nature, all our false attachment will actually be completely taken away. And even for the present and in the future. Right? So now itself will give, and the future will not be attracted to those false material attachments. And the second benefit is we'll actually get Brahmagati. That means we'll certainly move progressively towards the spiritual existence and then go back home, back to Godhead. And how easy or difficult will that be? Gata Klamaha, where without any difficulty one can go back home, back to Godhead. Right? So one who is vichakshana, one who's intelligent, he'll just take shelter of Krishna, and by that he'll easily go back home, back to God. That is the glory of the all auspicious supreme personality of God. Now in text 17 it says, Tapasvino dana para yashasvino manasino mantra vidasu mangalai shemam na vindanti vina yad arpanam. So all these activities, tapasya, the austerity, charity, philosophy, or reciting the Vedas, or strict followers of the Vedas, all these activities, shemam na vindanti. There will be no benefit until what? Until it actually says yad arpanam. Until all these activities are actually dedicated to the service of the Supreme Personality of God. So anything, any activity in this material world, as soon as it is connected to Krishna, then it is perfect. That is the glory of the all auspicious Supreme Personality of Godhead. And hence Shravase, that Shravase word is again and again used, the predominance of hearing about the all auspicious Supreme Personality of God. And text 18, which is the last verse we discussed last time. Kirata Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasa Abhira Samba Yavana Kasajaya Ye Anyecha Papa Yad Apashrayashraya. Right? Apashrayashraya Shuddhanti Tasmai Prabha Vishnave Namaha. So anyone who comes in contact with this all auspicious personality of Godhead, whether he is born in a lower class or whether he is engaged in sinful activities, it does not matter. Right? It actually says Papa, those are addicted to sinful activities, or they are born in sinful families. It does not matter, because as soon as you come in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, actually here, ye anyecha papa yet apashrayashraya. As soon as one takes shelter of the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then shuddhanti tasmai immediately they will get purified. And we discussed this, how Prabhupada has really proved this verse, compared to all our acharyas. That's the glory of Srila Prabhupada, that he's actually made this verse. Actually, he's proved this, that Hirata, Hundara referring to Hungary, right? Hungary. So all around the world, who is the acharya who's actually shown this verse? Srila Prabhupada. Right? And then, we have also, okay. I was thinking about this point that, we have proof of how, proof of this verse, right? One is Srila Prabhupada himself, how he actually came and he transformed hippies into happies, right? From hippies to happy, to pure devotees. And what else examples in the Shastra we have of when sinful people, when they take shelter of the pure devotees of the Lord, they attain perfection. They get shuddhanti, they get purified. What else examples can you think of?
Brigadi the Hunter, Prabhupada.
Brigadi the Hunter, Narad Muni's mercy. Okay, what else?
Madai.
Jagai Madai, yes, Jagai Madai.
And also Valmiki Prabhuji.
Yes, okay, very nice.
In this purport, he mentions about Jesus Christ and Muhammad.
Yeah, actually, in this purport, he mentions how Jesus Christ and Muhammad, they also, have preached the message of God, and that they purified so many souls. Okay, so we can meditate on this, and we'll see, particularly, like, the more merciful the personality, the more degraded people are actually liberated. Like Tara Shakshi Jagai Madai. Acharya says the proof is how Nityananda Prabhu is the most merciful. Tara Shakshi Jagai Madai. The most fallen Jagai Madai, or the worst of all sinners, are actually given the highest position of becoming the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, entering into the family of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yeah. So Prabhupada in the purport, yes, really mentions about we discussed this, how bhakti, it actually destroys both our prarabdha karma and our prarabdha karma, right? So even if our birth is in a family and a lower family, once we take to bhakti, then even that birth is no longer an obstacle, because even that prarabdha karma, that karma by which we got this birth, that itself is cleared up. Right, so there is no question of like our birth being an obstacle for us to actually become pure. And in relationship to that, Prabhupada actually quotes that verse, Acharya Vishnu Shiladhir, that to consider the deity form to be made of stone, right? Then Gurusu Naramatir, to actually consider the spiritual master to be an ordinary person. Then Vaishnava Jati Buddhi, to consider the jati of a Vaishnava, the caste of a Vaishnava. And then it says Samanya Nam. It actually to consider the holy name as to be ordinary names. That is all considered to be an offense. Right? So we should never look at Vaishnavas in terms of their caste or what is their birth, because that is offensive. Because by that we are actually saying, oh, bhakti is not so powerful that it has actually cleared out their birth. Bhakti is so powerful that once someone has taken that process, then certainly one no longer can see a person based on his previous birth. Right? Now, in this purport also, Prabhupada, we see Prabhupada's vision for the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So what is Prabhupada formed this entire society, and what is his vision for the society? He actually says this, yeah. Yeah. So in that purport, Prabhupada actually makes this point where he says that the leadership of the world affairs should be entrusted to devotees for which the ISKCON has already been started. So Prabhupada is making such a, like a powerful statement. He's saying that all the leaders in the world, they should come take shelter of devotees under the society of ISKCON. See Prabhupada's vision, his goal for the entire world, saying all, president of US, India, everywhere, all around the world, come take shelter of devotees of ISKCON. And Prabhupada says, we will not take politics. We will not directly get involved, but we will become the Brahmanas and we will guide all these politicians, how they don't mislead the people and how they can rule in such a way that people can actually become Krishna conscious. See Prabhupada's vision for this entire society. And we all are somehow connected to the society and we have a goal to fulfill, somehow work towards fulfilling Srila Prabhupada's amazing goal for this International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Okay. And then Prabhupada said, okay, how will this be accomplished? And for this, Kirtanam, there should be glorification of the Lord's holy name everywhere, all around the world. There has to be Sankirtan Yajna. And by that Sankirtan Yajna, there will be a tremendous change of the heart, and all the misunderstanding between the nations will be extinguished. And then, in that way, the devotees of ISKCON can actually show the entire world how to actually live a proper, perfect life and then go back home, back to home. Okay. And also Prabhupada is in one sentence referring to a verse from the Hari Bhakti Vilas where it actually says, Yatha kanchanatam yati kamsyam rasa vidhanatah tata diksha vidhanena judatam jayate dina. Right? So this example is a famous example where it says, just like there's this metal called bell metal. This bell metal can be transformed into gold by mercury. As soon as the metal comes in contact with mercury, it gets transformed into gold. Similarly, any person from any birth, lower birth or lower activity, if he diksha vidhanena, right, if he's properly trained and initiated by a spiritual master, then dvijatam jayate indina, immediately he becomes a Brahmana and actually beyond the Brahmana, right? So even someone is Kirata, Hundara, Pulinda, Pulak, it does not matter. As soon as one is properly trained and initiated by a guru, then he can become a Vaishnava. Actually, more glorious than a Vaishnava. Okay, now let's continue. Text number 19. So up to this point, we have seen how Sukadeva Goswami has offered obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the all-auspicious personality of whom one should actually hear about. Now, the next section, Sukadeva Goswami is actually praying to the Lord and saying, may the Lord be pleased upon me. May the Lord inspire my speech so that I can actually speak the Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? Okay, so let's start text number 19.
Saesha atmatmavatamadishvaras Prayimayo dharmayas tapomayaha Gata Vyalikar Aja Shankaradibhir Vitarkyalingo Bhagavan Prasidatam.
He is the Super Soul and the Supreme Lord of all self-realized souls. He is the personification of the Vedas, religious religious scriptures, and austerities. He is worshipped by Lord Brahma and Shiva and all those who are transcendental to all pretensions. Being so revered with awe and benevolence, may that Supreme Absolute be pleased with me.
Mhm. So he is the super soul, Atma, right here, Atma referring to the super soul. And then Adhishvara. Adhishvara means Supreme Lord, right? So for whom he is the Atma, for who does he is the super soul, that personality is super soul for all the Jnanis and the Yogis, right? So all the Jnanis and the Yogis, they see the Supreme as Atma, right? For the devotees or the self-realized personalities, they see the Lord as Adhishvara. Adhishvara referring to the Supreme Lord, right? So that personality who's seen as a super soul for Jnanis and Yogis, as a Supreme Lord for devotees, he is what? Three qualities have been mentioned. Traimaya. Traimaya means he's actually the personified Vedas, right? He is the compiler of the Vedas, he is the knower of the Vedas, and he's to be known from the Vedas, right? So he's Traimai. Then Dharmamai, right? Dharmam to Shakshat Bhagavad Pranitam. What is Dharma? Dharma is the laws enunciated by Krishna himself. So he's Dharmamaya. Then Tapamaya, he's personified austerity. All the austerities that we do are finally to actually come to Krishna, is to please Krishna. So he's Traimaya, he's Dharmamaya, and Tapamaya, right? And then the verse further goes and further continues and says Gata Vyalika. This is a very important word. Even in the next verse, this word is actually Prabhupada focuses on this word, Gata Vyalika. And if you see word to word, it says by those who are above all pretensions. Right? So what does it mean to be pretentious? Anyone would like to unmute and say?
To pretend that's something not they are, right? To portray something
Yes.
that's not.
Yeah, perfect, Madhu. To pretend or to portray something that they are not. Right? And why would one actually do that?
To fit in. Um,
When intelligence is stolen by Maya, we start to pretend that I am this body.
Okay, that is the reason, but why would someone just come and pretend like someone comes and says, "Oh, you're so nice, you're so beautiful." Like he may not have those feelings, but why he may like actually just falsely glorify or flatter a person or pretend to be, I am so nice. See, I am such a good person. Because he wants something.
Yeah,
Right? So Prabhupada in the purport, he focuses on this aspect of wanting. That is some desire, to be fulfilled. And that's why people are pretentious, right? But this verse is actually saying, Gata Vyalika, those who are above all pretensions. And who are they? So Prabhupada actually explains in the purport. He says, well, if you consider the different kinds of people, that is those who are karmis, right? Those who are interested in bhakti kami. What are the karmis? They are actually interested, their calm or their desire is to enjoy material opulence or fruitive activities. That is the karmis. Then next category is what? The jnanis. What do they desire? The jnanis desire the liberation. So mukti kami, they have some desire, right? Then there are yogis. And what do the yogis desire? Siddhi kami, they desire some mystic perfection. But what do the devotees desire? Actually, the devotees one day have no desire. Right? Akama, sarva kamova, mokshakama. Right? Who is akama in that? The devotees. Right? So here, one way we say no desire in the same that they have no material desire. The only desire. So karmis are bhakti kamis, jnanis are mukti kamis, yogis are siddhi kamis, and devotees are seva kamis. All they want to do is service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They have no personal desire. Their only desire is to serve and please the Lord. So satisfaction of the Lord is the only point for the devotee. So when here this verse says Gata Vyalika, And then it gives examples of Gata Vyalika as Brahmaji, Shankara, Adi, right? So Brahma, Shankara, etc. are Gata Vyalika. And it is only these Gata Vyalika who can actually understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? So Prabhupada purpose is saying that finally it is only the devotees who can actually understand the Supreme Personality of God. Not the karmis, not the jnanis, not the yogis, because they are all some way or the other pretentious. Right? Some way or the other pretentious. And then Prabhupada in the purport elaborates that he gives examples, and he gives the example of Arjun, and he says that how Arjun, initially he was thinking about his own self-satisfaction, right? But as after he received the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, then he said what? Karishye vachanam tava. What you have said, I will do it, because my only desire is to please you. Karishye vachanam tava. And then also Prabhupada makes a point that devotees, they only want to serve the Lord because Lord is great, and as living entities, they are eternally subordinate parts and parcels of the Lord. Right? So this is the nishkam or akam of the devotees. And Prabhupada also makes a point that devotees, they are completely dependent on the orders of the Lord, right? So the devotees are always waiting. What is the next order? They come in front of Radha Golokanda. Okay, Shri Radha Golokananda, what is the next seva for me? They are always dependent on the orders of the Lord, and they are always ready to discharge their duty for the satisfaction. So this is a mood of a devotee. We can always remember this. We are always dependent on Krishna. What is the next thing you want to do? Bring to our spiritual master. What is the next seva for me? One seva is over, and you're already thinking, Krishna, what is the next seva? Because without seva, we'll be in Maya. So what is the next seva? So we are dependent on the order of the Lord, and then when the order comes, sometimes it may be simple, sometimes it may be challenging. We are always, Prabhupada says, always ready to discharge the duty only for the satisfaction. Right? So that is the mood of a devotee, Prabhupada says. Okay. And Prabhupada also quotes that, how Gata Vyalika, who all are there, Brahmaji, Shiva, Lakshmi Ji, the four Kumaras, they are all Gata Vyalika. And these four particular Prabhupada mentions. Why? Because these four are the head of the four sampradayas. Right? And then Prabhupada also says, Jiva Goswami, he explains this Gata Vyalika as Dharma, Projita, Kaitava Atra, Parmo Nirmatsaranam Sata. Right? And those who have given up these false religions. What is the explanation of Dharma, Projita, Kaitava Atra, Parmo Nirmatsaranam Sata, the second verse of the Bhagavatam? That those who have given up all these false religions, all these false pretensions. So Jiva Goswami is saying, Gata Vyalika refers to the Projita Kaitava. And then Prabhupada also quotes the verse from CC, Krishna Bhakta Nishkam, Kata Eva Shanta, Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi, Kami, Sakale, Asham. So Krishna Bhakta, devotee of Krishna, Nishkam, no other desire other to satisfy Krishna. And hence they are what? They are the only ones who are peaceful. On the other hand, those are bhuktis, those are muktis, those who are siddhis, those who are kamis, sakali ashanta. They are always peaceful or not peaceful. So ashanta. Okay. So that is text number 19. So in 19 he actually said that, oh Lord, you are the super soul for the yogis, for the jnanis, but for the devotees, you are Adhishwara, you are the Supreme Lord, you are the personified Vedas, you are the personified religion, you are personified austerity, and you are worshipped by those who are Gata Vyalika. May that Supreme Personality of Godhead be pleased with me. Right? So what is the last line of the verse? So in the previous section, the line that we memorized, Tasmai Subhadra Shavase Namo Namaha. This section, the line that we remember is Bhagwan Prasidha. At least these two words, Bhagwan Prasidha. Right? May that Supreme Personality of Godhead be pleased with me. Right? So we can actually, like, even before, during, after a seva, we can always say Bhagwan Prasidha. Oh my Lord, you be pleased with me. Okay, text 20.
Shriyapatir Yagyapati Pragyapatir Diyampatir Lokapatir Dharapati Patir Gadishchandhaka Vrishni Satvatam Prasidatam me Bhagavan Satam Patihi.
Bhagwan Prasidatam, and this last line is what? Prasidatam me Bhagavan. Again, similar. Oh my Lord, be pleased upon me. Okay. Translation.
Correct.
Hare Krishna. My Lord Shri Krishna, who is the worshipable Lord of all devotees, the protector and glory of all the kings like Andhaka and Vrishni of the Yadu dynasty, the husband of all goddesses of fortune, the director of all sacrifices, and therefore the leader of all living entities, the controller of all intelligence, the proprietor of all planets, spiritual and material, and the supreme incarnation on the earth, the supreme all in all, be merciful upon me. Hare Krishna.
Anandamati, you could go next.
Sure, Prabhu.
So what is this Shreya Pati? Now it is so interesting. If you see word to word, Pati. Actually, if you see word to word explanation of Pati, for every one of these Shreya, so first is opulence, then second Yagya, Praja, Diya, Loka, Dhara, Gati, Satam. So these 8, and all of them are connected with the word Pati. And Prabhupada explains that word Pati, each one has a different meaning of Pati. So if you see the first one, when it says Shreya Pati, Shreya means all opulence. Pati there, how does Prabhupada explain? Owner. Okay. Then second one, Yagya Pati. Yagya means all sacrifices. And what is Pati there? Prabhupada explains as director. Then third, if you see Prajapati, what is Pati there? Leader. Krishna is the leader of all living entities. Then Dhyam Pati, Dhyam means intelligence. What is Pati there? He's the controller or master of all intelligence. So how Prabhupada, see one word Pati, and every one of these aspects has a different explanation to it. And so perfectly for whatever is that opulence, Shreya, Yagya, Praja, Prabhupada has given a perfect English translation for that. You can imagine, like, this is just one verse of the Bhagavatam, and how Prabhupada is so specific to select the right meaning of Pati for each one of those opulences. Okay. And then it says Gati Pati. So Gati means destination, and there Pati refers to a supreme destination. Satam Pati, that is devotees, and there Pati refers to the Lord. He is the Adhishwara for all the devotees. It's so beautiful. And then Lokapati, he is the proprietor of all the planets. And then this verse also says Chandaka Vrishni Satvatam. And that's this Lord who is the Patihi for all these, for all the Yagya, all the Shreya, all the Praja, all the Dhiya, all the Loka, all the Dhara, all the Gati, and all the Satam. That Lord has actually appeared in the Andhaka and Vrishni dynasty just to protect and glorify the Satvata dynasty. That's how the example of sandalwood is given. Right? It's called Malaya Chandan. Because sandalwood is grown in that area of Malaya, that place itself is glorified. Right? Similarly, Krishna, by appearing in the Satvata dynasty, has glorified that dynasty, that personality. So there's both that aspect of sweetness also, that how the Lord actually appears in amongst his devotees just to always glorify his devotees. Okay. Now in the purport, Prabhupada actually goes through each one of these aspects and explains them. So first is what? Shreya Pati. What does Shreya mean? Shreya means all opulence. So Prabhupada actually gives a very Rasika purport. Like normally we don't see Prabhupada going so much into this into the tattva of Radharani so much in the Bhagavatam. But here, Prabhupada, when we talk of Shreya, he actually takes all the way to understand it that to Srimati Radharani. So he says how everyone in this world is seeking opulence, right? And who is opulence? Who is Shri? Shri is a goddess of fortune, right? So everyone in this world is seeking the favor of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Ji. Right? That's why Lakshmi Puja is so important in India, because everyone says, like, if I don't do Lakshmi Puja, then what will happen to my bank balance? What will happen to my opulence? I have to do Lakshmi Puja. So everyone is seeking the favor of Lakshmi Ji. Right? And then Prabhupada quotes, but who is this Lakshmi? Chintamani Prakarasadma Sukhalpa Vriksha Laksha Vriteshu Surabhi Abhipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Satasamra Sevyamana. And thousands of these Lakshmis are actually serving Govinda. So then Prabhupada makes a point that people do not understand that this Lakshmi for whom they are seeking their favor is the consort of Krishna. So if you please Krishna, then actually Lakshmi will be there. Wherever Krishna is there, Lakshmi will be there. So actually we should actually worship Krishna, because if Krishna is there in our life, then certainly Lakshmi ji is there with Krishna, right? So Prabhupada makes a point. Then further he actually says, but then who is this Lakshmi? This Lakshmi is just a manifestation of the transcendental pleasure potency of Krishna. This Lakshmi ji is the Haladini potency of Krishna. So if you see Krishna, his internal energy, there are three aspects: Samvit, Sandhini, and Haladini. Right? So that pleasure potency aspect of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually represented by the Haladini Shakti one way is manifested in the form of these Lakshmis. Right? And then Prabhupada takes it further and he actually says that how Srimati Radha Rani is actually the embodiment of this Haladini Shakti potency. Right? So all these goddess of fortune are manifestation of this transcendental pleasure potency in his internal energy. And then Prabhupada talks of the Ras Leela. Right? Okay, so Prabhupada, where is that sentence? I was looking at the sentence that Prabhupada actually says that Srimati Radharani is actually the So Prabhupada says all these goddesses of fortune are manifestations of his transcendental pleasure potency, Haladin Shakti, in his internal energy. Right? And when the Lord manifested himself on earth, he partially displayed the activities of the pleasure potency in his Ras Leela just to attract all the conditions. So maybe I was just thinking about that point. But when Prabhupada mentions that all these goddesses of fortune are manifestations of the Haladin Shakti, then we know how Chaitanya Charitamrita actually makes a point that Srimati Radharani is the principal head of all such goddesses of fortune. Right? And then there's a verse in Prabhupada actually mentions the point that even the Ras Leela, is actually like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sukadeva Goswami. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a sannyasi, and he used to, even if women have to offer obeisances, they had to do it from a distance. That's how strict a sannyasi was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? But even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would actually discuss these pastimes of the Ras Leela. Right? So that itself shows that this manifestation of the Ras Leela pastime, which is there in the Srimad Bhagavatam, is actually beyond anything to do with this mundane world. And also, Chaitanya Charitamrita actually makes a point that another beautiful verse is that Devi Krishna Maya Prokta Radhika Paradevata Sarva Lakshmi Mai Sarva Kanti Sammohini Para. And she is glorifying Srimati Radharani as saying, Devi Krishna Maya Prokta, right? So Devi referring to Srimati Radharani, the most beautiful Srimati Radharani. And particularly in that verse, it actually says, Sarva Lakshmi Mai Sarva. So who is Srimati Radharani? She is the original source of all goddesses of fortune, right? And further, Chaitanya Charitamrita makes a point that how, if you see the Lakshmi Gana, so there are three aspects of the expansions of Srimati Radharani. There's the Lakshmi Gana, the goddess of fortune, and they are actually Vaibhav, Vilasamsa. They are Amsa, right? They are Amsa of Srimati Radharani, partial manifestation. Then there is Mahishi Gana, the queens of Dwarka. They are who? They are reflections of Srimati Radharani, of the Vaibhav Prakash one day. And then Braj Devi Gana, they are direct expansion of Radharani's body. So all these goddesses of fortune are coming from Srimati Radharani. And who is the Pati of Srimati Radharani? That is Krishna. Right? So how Prabhupada is actually going through all these, Shreya, starting from Shreya, going to Lakshmi Ji, then Lakshmi Ji saying, oh, thousands of Lakshmi Ji. But who is the soul? Srimati Radharani. And that's the Haladini potency of Krishna. And that Pati, the husband of that, is here it says, in the in that paragraph towards the end, and Srimati Radharani is the principal head of all goddesses of fortune, and therefore she is the pleasure counterpart of the Lord, and is not different from Krishna. Right? So that's the sentence I was looking for. I knew it was there somewhere. But so towards the end of the purpose says that, right? Srimati Radharani is the principal head. So if you want to see this reference, this is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila. I think it's third chapter. Right, third chapter, text number 83. Right? 383. Is that verse? Devi Krishna Mai Pota, Radhika Para Devata, Sarva Lakshmi Mai Sarva Kanti Samohini Para. Right? So she is actually Sarva Lakshmi Mai. So she is the source of the goddesses. Okay. Now next point. So that is the first one, Shreyapati. Second point is what? What is the second point in the verse? Yagyapati. Right? So Yagyapati means who is the beneficiary of all the sacrifices. Who can quote a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, which actually says the Lord is a beneficiary of all the sacrifices? Quickly. Very famous verse.
Bhoktaram Yajna
Sarva Lokam
Maheshwar. Yeah.
So Bhokta Ram Yaga, he's the Bhokta, he's the enjoyer of all the sacrifices. Right? So all the benedictions for the sacrifices are actually given by finally the sanction of the Lord. And actually Prabhupada says it's a favor given by Lakshmi Ji, and Krishna is Shreyapati. So again, finally it is given by Krishna himself. Right? And right. And then further, Prabhupada actually makes a point in 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna actually says, Yagya dana tapa karma na tyajam karma evatat yagyo danam tapaseva pavanani manishina. That all people, even those who are already purified, should not give up the activities of yagya, dana, and tapa. Right? Sacrifice, charity, and penance. So Prabhupada is making the point that all the people, yagyarte karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhano. So all the people are actually meant to perform what? Yagya. Right? Otherwise, loko bandhanam will be entangled in this. Right? So all the people are meant to do sacrifice, and sacrifice is meant for what? For the pleasure of Vishnu. Hence, all the people, who is the master of all the people, who is Prajapati, that is actually Krishna. So how Prabhupada explains? He explains first the point of Shreyapati, right? All the opulence. Then he says Yagya. Yagya, the benefits of Yagya is given by who? Shreya. When Shreyapati is Krishna. So hence Yagyapati also becomes Krishna. Then all the people are meant to do what? Yagya, right? And then you already pointed out that Yagyapati is Krishna. So Prajapati also becomes Krishna. So step by step, Prabhupada is actually taking us and establishing how Shreyapati, Yagyapati, and Prajapati is actually Krishna. And Prabhupada also refers Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanas Chaitananam, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidaratikam. Among all the eternal living entities, among all the conscious beings, there is one supreme consciousness, and that is Krishna. And hence he is Prajapati. Then Prabhupada explains Dhyampati. Right? Dhyampati means Dhya means intelligent. So he is the master of all intelligence. Right? So this, how does Prabhupada prove this point? He said every one of us is actually proportionately endowed with intelligence based on our karma. Like some of them here are super intelligent. Like me, people are like so foolish. So people has given all of us, intelligence proportionately based on our karma. But who is deciding that, oh, this person has so much karma and he has so and so intelligence? Krishna. Right? Mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha. Krishna is the one who actually gives us knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So who is finally the master of all intelligence? It is Krishna. Now, if we accept that Krishna is the master of all intelligence, then what should intelligence be used for? The service of Krishna. Right? The Prabhupada says so nicely that the misuse of intelligence, where one tries to enjoy the material nature, is called madness. Because intelligence is given by Krishna, and we're using that intelligence for for own sense gratification. That is madness. One's full intelligence should be applied to get free from the material pleasures. That is Dhyampati. He is giving us intelligence. Use that intelligence to connect back to him. Okay. Then next is what? Lokapati. Lokapati, Prabhupada says, everything we see in this material manifestation is actually a creation of the Lord. Again, Bhokta Ram Yagya Tapasam, Sarva Loka Maheshwara. Right? So he is the Loka Maheshwara. He is the Lord of the entire creation, and hence he is Lokapati. Yeah? And Prabhupada also quotes, Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam, Yatkinchi Jagatam Jagat, Tena Taktena Bhunjita, Magridakasya Siddhanam. Right? It actually says everything animate and inanimate within this universe is controlled and owned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hence, he is Lokapati and Dharapati. Right? Now, he is Gatipati. Gati means what? Destination. Gatipati. So, like before we read about Brahma Gati, right? The highest destination, right? So, what is the highest destination? And Prabhupada says, okay. Yeah, he says, okay. So basically, Prabhupada is pointing out that how Krishna actually appeared in the family of the Yadus, and all of them intended to return to Lord Krishna after he had finished his transcendental pastime. So even the best of the associates of Krishna, they actually wanted to go back to Krishna. So the highest destination for everyone is actually to go back home, back to God. So Gatipati is actually Krishna. Okay? And then the last one is what? Satampati. Satampati is the Lord, is the guide of all the devotees, right? As soon as we take up one step in Krishna consciousness, Krishna is personally guiding us directly through giving inspiration or through the devotees so that we can actually go back home. So who is our guide? Who is our chariot driver? Just like Krishna is the chariot driver of Arjun, who is our chariot driver? It is Krishna. So hence he is Gatipati and he is Satampati. Right? In that way, he is the Pati of all these aspects. Okay. Okay. Next verse 21.
Yad angri abdi, sorry, Yad angri abhidhyana samadhi dotaya dhyanu pashyanti hi tattvam atmanaha vadanti chatyait kavayo yata rucham same mukundo bhagavan prasidatam.
Again, what's the last line? Bhagavan prasidatam. Right? Let that Lord be pleased upon you. Well, Arundhati.
Yeah, it is the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna who gives liberation. By thinking of his lotus feet at every second, following in the footsteps of the authorities, the devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to their whims. May the Lord be pleased with me. Hare Krishna.
Okay. So, yet angri abhidhyana. Abhidhyana means one who actually is thinking of at every second. So, what is a devotee? At every second, they are actually thinking of the lotus feet of Krishna. And hence they are what? They are always in samadhi. So the real samadhi is to be always be absorbed in the lotus feet of Krishna. Right? Yad angri abhidhyana samadhi. And then it says, Dautya, right? So Dautya, okay, so we'll come to that point then. So, okay, so next, so if you are always focused on the lotus feet of Krishna, then you are in samadhi. Then the Dautya, that is that Krishna, then as we are meditating on Krishna, Krishna washes away all our impurities and gives us dhiya. Dhiya means intelligence. And by that intelligence, what can one do? Right? Anupashyanti. One actually sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Tattvam, in truth. So those devotees who are completely thinking of the lotus feet of the Lord at every second, and hence they are in samadhi, the Lord actually washes away all their impurities and gives them clean intelligence by which they can actually see the Supreme Personality of Godhead in truth. Right? And also the word anupashyanti is there. Anu means what? To follow. And how do devotees actually meditate on Supreme Personality of Godhead? Following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. So to that Lord who reveals himself to those devotees who are absorbed in Krishna, to that Lord, may that Lord be pleased upon me. Like Bhagwan Prasidatam. Now there's another aspect to this, right? So that is the first aspect, it's talking about devotee. Second aspect, it says, Vadanti Chaita Kavayo Yatharucham. Kavayo means what? Kavi means what? Poet, right? Normally, but here Kavi means a philosopher or a learned scholar. And then what is Yatharucham? Those who are philosophers, who are not devotees, who are mental speculators or philosophers, Yatharucham, they think of their Lord according to their own whims. They think of the Lord according to their own whims, and hence the Lord actually does not reveal himself to those devotees, to those personalities. He just reveals himself to the devotees. To that Lord, I offer my obeisances. Let that Lord be pleased upon me. Okay. Now, Prabhupada is actually explaining. So when we say Kavaya, right? The Lord is not revealed himself to such personalities, then they do Yatha Rucham. They think of the Lord in so many different ways. What are the different ways they consider the Lord? One is they say, oh, Paramatma, that is the highest manifestation of Lord. Then second, they say, oh, actually Brahma Jyoti is highest. There's no form of the Lord. Right? So they speculate, they reach the conclusion that impersonal aspect is the highest. Or they say, oh, is Jiva, is it a tiny spark? Or is Jiva the all pervasive energy? Right? So they consider that. Or the fourth point, this is all Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is actually making. Or the Kavaya, they actually make the point, oh, this universe is just a false manifestation. Right? It appears true and eternal, but this is just a false. So they speculate in so many different ways. And because of speculation, they will never be able to understand Krishna. Krishna does not reveal himself to them. And hence, like what is Sukadeva Goswami's prayer here? That he actually saying that I will now speak Srimad Bhagavatam by meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord at every second. And by that, the Lord may reveal himself to me so that I can actually speak about him. Such a beautiful prayer. I'm saying that I'm going to now speak Bhagavatam, but every second I'm going to fix myself on the lotus feet of the Lord, and thus in Samadhi I am going to speak the glories of the Lord. So, yeah. So in the purport, he compares mystic yogis versus devotees, and he says how yogis, the Kavayaha, they do so much strenuous effort, they control their senses, but finally they get vision of the Paramatma. But for devotees, what is it? Simply remembering the lotus feet of Krishna every second. Then Krishna actually purifies their mind and intelligence. The disease of material enjoyment is washed away, and in that way, we actually can attain the highest perfection. Now, Prabhupada here says the mood of a devotee, right? So Prabhupada says, a pure devotee thinks himself fallen into this ocean of birth and death and incessantly prays to the Lord to lift him. So how can you focus your mind on the lotus feet of Krishna every second? So Prabhupada is pointing out, the mood of a devotee is that, oh Krishna, I have fallen into this material world. And in that mood, he's actually praying to Krishna, instantly praying, oh Lord, please pick me up from this material world. Does any verse come to your mind at this point?
Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram.
Yes. Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram. Patita Mam Vishame Bhava. I've fallen into this material world. Please pick me up from this. So the devotee only aspires to become a speck of the transcendental dust at the lotus feet of God. The Prabhupada actually is explaining that verse here, but he's not referred that Shastakam verse. But he's praying that should be the mood of a devotee. A devotee is always thinking, oh Krishna, I have fallen here into this material world. Please pick me up. Please be merciful upon me. Be pleased upon me. And that way, and devotee prays, right? And then Prabhupada, this is one of Prabhupada's favorite verses. Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Pankajangam. And you can hear Prabhupada singing this, of all the prayers of Mukundamala Stotra, this is the one that Prabhupada like frequently, quotes, and also he sings it like a bhajan form, right? And what is the prayer? And we can pray to Krishna. Oh my Lord Shri Krishna, I pray the swan of my mind may immediately sink down to the stems of the lotus feet of your Lordship and be locked in that network. Because my mind is so crazy that even it may taste a drop of the nectar, but then may come out. So let me actually be entangled in the network of the lotus feet of Krishna. Otherwise, at the time of death, then, when my voice is choked up, there's cough, there's mucus, how will I think about you? Right? It says, prana prayana samaye kapha vitta pitta. All these things will be there at the time of death. How can we think about Krishna? So now, when my consciousness is, at least I'm not going through that kapha vitta, that stage when my voice is choked up and there's cough, let my mind be completely entangled in the network of your lotus feet. And devotees always praying like this. Krishna, please, death can come at any moment. Let my mind right now be entangled in the network. Otherwise, at the time of death, how will I remember you? Prabhupada so beautifully bringing out the mood of a devotee, how we can always be, absorbed in the lotus feet of Krishna at every second. Then he actually makes such a, this is so funny. Like Prabhupada makes the sentence. Then he talks about Kavayo. Right? The Kavayo, they actually speculate so many things. But Prabhupada makes this in the, after that, the second paragraph, in between, Prabhupada says, Yatha Rucham. Yatha Rucham means as many conclusions, as many ways. Right? And people have this thing in India. They say like, whatever you think is okay. Yatomat tatopat. You have that theory? Oh, that's good. That's very nice. That's perfect. Whatever you think, it will take you to Krishna. It will take you to spiritual reality. So that nonsense is there. But Prabhupada says, Yatha Rucham. That is actually according to one's inclination. But then Prabhupada says, but the Lord is not like a shopkeeper. You found the sentence? Beautiful, isn't it? But the Lord is not like a shopkeeper trying to please all sorts of customers in the mental speculator exchange. Prabhupada is so innovative in his thinking. It's like people think all these speculations, but Lord is not like a shopkeeper that, oh, you have done this speculative exchange, so I am that. No, the Lord is not like that. And further, Prabhupada said, the Lord is what he is. He is the absolute personality of Godhead. And what does he demand from us? Sarva dharma parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. He demands absolute surrender unto him. Not all these speculative things, and not yatha rucham and all these things. So so we should stop speculating, and then what should we do? Anupashyanti. We should follow in the footsteps of the Mahajana. Mahajana yena katha sapanta, right? And Prabhupada says all these Mahajanas, all these Vaishnava Acharyas, there is actually no difference in conclusions between all these Vaishnava Acharyas, because all of them accept. Well, one way if you see there's Dvaita, then Vishishta Dvaita, all those slight differences are there, but all the four Vaishnava Acharyas, they actually accept that there is Jiva, there is Jagadish, and there is the eternal bhakti between Jiva and Jagadish. That all Vaishnava Acharyas explain. There is no speculation there. There is no difference of opinion there. Like this is shared by all the four sampradayas. They all accept the so in the devotion to the Lord as the perfection of life. Okay? Now the last purport, last paragraph is beautiful. Prabhupada starts off by saying, this humbleness of the pure devotee who is 100% engaged in his service puts the devotee of the Lord in a trance by which to realize everything, because to the sincere devotee of the Lord reveals himself. So how can we be, see, the whole point of the purport is Prabhupada is telling the mood of a devotee, how we can be 100% absorbed in the lotus feet of Krishna. And Prabhupada says, humbleness, the humility with 100% service. So as much as we can serve Krishna in that humble mood, right, in the mood of humility, then what does Krishna do? Krishna actually Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. Then if we actually serve Krishna in that mood of humility, then Krishna will give us the intelligence so that we can remember him at every second of our existence. So beautiful, right? So all we need to do is engage in practical devotional service in the mood of humility. And then the Lord reveals himself to such devotees when he's actually pleased by their service attitude. So we serve the Lord with that humble mood, and when we have that humble mood, we are rendering that service, then Krishna is pleased with that service attitude, and then he'll reveal himself to us, and he'll actually show us how we can be 100% absorbed in Krishna. Our mind is entangled in the network of the lotus feet of Krishna. Next verse, thank you.
Prachoditayena pura saraswati vitanvatajasya satim smritim rivi swalakshana pradurabhut kilasyataha samerishinam rishabha prasidatam.
May the Lord, who in the beginning of the creation amplified the potent knowledge of Brahma from within his heart and inspired him with full knowledge of creation and of his own self, and who appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma, be pleased with me.
So basically, what is this verse saying? So, okay, so if you see this second section of the prayer, first, Sukadev Goswami has made the point that how the Gata Vyalikas, they actually, those who are free of pretension, they actually worship the Lord, and the Lord reveals himself to the Gata Vyalika. So he is actually, Sukadev Goswami making the point that I am also one way the Gata Vyalika, because Shreya Pati, Yagya Pati has already made the point that the Lord is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is the one worshipable for all, right? So he's making the point that I am also taking that position of Gata Vyalika without any pretension. I am worshipping you, right? And then I'm focusing my mind 100% at your lotus feet, right? So you please reveal yourself to me so that I can speak knowledge to you. And how should you reveal yourself to me? And then he actually makes the point that just as you, Krishna, you made the Vedas flow through the mouth of Brahmaji, right? Krishna made the Vedas flow through the mouth of Brahmaji. May Krishna make that spiritual knowledge flow, all the pastimes of the Bhagavatam flow through my mouth just in the same way. As you inspired Brahma to speak, similarly you inspire me to speak the Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? So that is this prayer here. And then it's also said Prachodita. Prachodita means you inspired Brahma to speak, so you also inspire me to speak. So one is the inspiration, and second is the Vitanvata, amplification. Right? Inspiration and amplification. Now, what is amplification here? Right? So Prabhupada actually explains in the purport that he says every jiva actually we have, we are, because we are part and parcel of Krishna, we have certain potencies in us. Right? Potencies are there in every jiva. Being part and parcel of Krishna, we have those potencies. So out of Rupa Goswami says 64 different qualities of Krishna. Every jiva can have up to 50 different qualities, right? Up to 50 different qualities. Right? So that potency is there in every jiva. But the problem is that qualities or potency is actually covered right now. Right? It's covered by Maya Shakti, covered by ignorance. So Sukadev Goswami is saying, let that potency, which is already there in our heart, let that be amplified. And when that is amplified, then it can break through the covering, right? Break through. So let that be amplification. Just as Brahma, he had that potency, that potential knowledge was there, but you amplified it. So you actually made it, amplified it, and then you inspired him to speak. Similarly, you amplify the potency in my heart, and you inspire me to speak. Right? So two aspects are there: amplification and inspiration. Okay, so in the purport, Prabhupada also quotes Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kave, right? The first verse of the Bhagavatam, that it actually says Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kave. It is you, Krishna, who actually gave knowledge to Brahma, right? And similarly, like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is actually making the point that how Krishna inspired Brahma to speak. Similarly, who inspired who to speak in Chaitanya Charitamrita? Who knows this point?
Ramanand Rai.
Yes, that is there probably, but there's one more section I was thinking where actually it says just like this example is given. Just like Brahma, he actually entered into one way. Krishna entered into Brahma and he spoke through the mouth of Brahma. Similarly, who entered into whom and spoke through his mouth? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered into the heart of Rupa Goswami, and then I made Rupa Goswami speak. Right? See, Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam, right? So who could understand the heart of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Rupa Goswami. So similarly, that example is given, right? That's why Rupa Nudas. Right? So anyway, so okay, then okay, so okay, so Prabhupada actually, he's talking on that point that I mentioned, that how the living entities, they are, living entities, they have 50 of the 64 qualities, 78%. So that potency is there, but because we are part and parcel of Krishna, at the time of death, we forget all this, right? We forget all knowledge. When we take every new birth we take, when we wake up and we are like totally blank slate, and then we have to learn everything from scratch. A, B, C, D, everything has to be taught to us from scratch, right? But who is actually giving us, like let's say in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, if you have performed devotional service up to this point, then next life, you continue from this point, right? So that potency of devotion is there in the heart of every living entity. But as we are changing bodies, who is actually reminding us or giving us that amplification? It is Krishna himself, right? So Prabhupada talks about that awakening of knowledge in every jiva is actually done by Krishna. And hence we should pray to Krishna that, oh Krishna, you please amplify, you please inspire that devotion in the core of my heart, and you please speak through me. And then Prabhupada says this awakening of knowledge is under the full control of the Lord. It is neither automatic nor material, right? So every time we change our bodies, take birth, death, old age, we take a new life, and some spiritual activity we have done, that amplification in the next life is actually done by Krishna. And it is not something material. It is not something artificial. It is Krishna himself who is actually bringing out the potency in our life. So, okay. And then Prabhupada actually goes further and says how Brahma is the speaker of Vedic knowledge, but he was actually inspired by Lord Krishna to speak, right? So hence the Vedas are actually not as such coming from a jiva. They are actually Apurushaya. What does Apurushaya mean? You can say. What?
Purush, divine.
Divine, okay. Something more? You say the Vedas are Apurushaya.
Not man-made.
Not what mean?
They're not man-made.
They're not man-made. That's the point. Like even in introduction of Bhagavad Gita, what does Prabhupada say? Any knowledge created by man has 4 defects. Right? Our senses are illusion, we are imperfect senses, we are subject to cheating, and we make mistakes. 4 defects every man has. But the Vedic knowledge is beyond all these 4 because it is coming from Krishna himself. Though it is coming through a mouth of Brahma, who is a jiva, but Brahma has been directly inspired and amplified. The voice has been amplified by Krishna himself, right? So hence that knowledge that's coming out from Brahma is Apurushaya. Okay, and this kind of knowledge is aprakrita, likely inspired by Lord. It's completely spiritual. Okay. Next verse, 23. So almost we have come to the end. This is the last verse of prayers, and then 2 final verses are the conclusion of this chapter. Okay, so 23.
Bhutayar Mahadhir Yima Para Vibhur Nirmaya Shete Yadam Shapurushaha Bhunte Gunan Shodasha Shodashatmakaha Solam Krishishta Bhagavan Vachamsime. Lavangamani Mataji. Roshaya Mataji can't read.
Hare Krishna. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down within the universe, and who, in his Purusha incarnation, causes the living being to be subjected to the 16 divisions of material modes, which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statements.
So what is this verse? So because he is going to start, the question is about the creation aspect of the Lord. Sukadev Goswami is glorifying the creation aspect and making a prayer based on that. How beautiful is that? You know. So I'll just explain that, and you'll be able to appreciate this, right? So what is this verse saying? 23, right? May the Lord who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down in the universe, right? Is subject to 16 divisions of material mode, be pleased to decorate. So the word there is alang krishita. Alang krishita, may decorate, right? So what is actually here, Sukadev Goswami is praying to the Lord. Now may my words, which are just like how Krishna inspired Brahma, you please inspire my words, and may my words, which are actually inspired by you, have the ornaments, alankrishita, ornaments and qualities for what? What kind of ornaments should my words have? Those ornaments that invoke madhurya, karuna, and other rasas and bring joy to the listeners. So may my words have the ornaments of rasas, so all the listeners of Srimad Bhagavatam will actually relish this. What is that? Nigama kalpatarur galitam phalam sukha mukhat amrita davya samya pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam. Right? Muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhanka. Those who are muhur aho rasika, they let them relish this. But they will relish the rasa only when my words are ornamented with ornaments or filled with these rasas. So may you, O Lord, be present in my words so that rasa is there. Okay, that's a prayer. So anyway, so that is the overall prayer. But now let's go detail, right? So the first point here. Okay, so the Lord, he creates the bodies of humans and personally resides in each one of us. So we'll read this in chapter 5. How the Lord actually, he's creating the bodies of all the living entities in the material world. But then after creating, what does he do? He actually enters into each body as Paramatma, right? First point. Similarly, Sukadev Goswami is praying that you ornament my words by actually, so the words are created by you. It is inspired by you, but you please also enter into these words. Just like how Krishna enters into everyone as Paramatma, you please enter my words. So my words, let that not be anything mundane, let that be you himself. Bhagavatam is who? Krishna himself. And here Sukadeva Goswami is saying, let my words be actually, you please enter into it. That's the first point. Then second point, right? So the Lord, he enjoys the gunas in the form of the 11 senses and 5 gross elements, and he enjoys by his glance. Right? So the Lord, he glances over the material world, and through that glance, he actually enjoys the different gunas in the form of what? 11 senses. What are 11 senses? Right, ears, nose, tongue, touch, and then smell, sight, and all those, and including the mind. So 11 senses and 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, and ether. Right. So the Lord, he enjoys the gunas in the form of these 11 senses and 5 gross elements through his glance. Similarly, let the Lord enjoy the qualities of my words. So the second point is, let the Lord enter into my words, just like you enter as Paramatma into everybody. Second point, the Lord enjoys these gunas through the 11 senses and the 16 elements. So similarly, you please enjoy the qualities of my word. So not only you enter into the words, but when the words come out from my mouth, you please relish this word. You please enjoy. I want to speak only for your pleasure. right? So you please enjoy the words. So then the third point here is the Lord actually, he gives life to all these 16 elements. How does the Lord give life? Actually, this body is there. As such, the body, it is dead, right? It is earth, water, fire, ether. As soon as the soul leaves the body, then people don't even want to go to that body. Right? A dead body, as soon as there's a dead body, people just don't want to even look at it. So who is enlivening the body? It is Krishna, this Atma, right? So how the Lord is the one who gives life to the 16 elements. Similarly, let the words with ornament. Yeah, okay. So let you, O Lord, enliven, give life to my words, because if there is not your presence in my words, then those words are untouchable by the devotees. You see the point? So the material body, as such, by the life of Krishna, then that's active, right? And everyone is connecting with that, right? But as soon as the life leaves, it is dead. So if you are not present in my words, then my words are just like dead. Then what is it? It is just like place of pilgrimage for the crows. So devotees will not even come close to those words. So you please be present in my words. You please be enjoy my words, and you ornament my words in such a way that all the devotees relish those words. And just like how the Lord enters into each body, he actually enjoys the gunas, and then he gives life to the 16 elements. So 3 points and 3 relationship with the Bhagavad. Is this 3 points clear? Yes, no? Okay.
The second one, can you explain why it is enjoys the gunas rather than creating the gunas?
So the point that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is actually saying, that how through a glance, see, it is basically through the glance of the Lord that the gunas are agitated, right? Everything happens because of the glance of the Lord. So one way Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, he's enjoying, the gunas of the material world, through his glance. So one way the Lord has nothing to do in this material world, but because of his glance, that agitation is happening, and the Lord is pleased to see all the agitation. So similarly, he's actually saying, you please be pleased with the qualities of my lords. Okay, so Prabhupada in the purport says that Sukadeva Goswami is invoking the pleasure of the personality of Godhead, so that the statements become successful and they be appreciated by the hearers. Right? Statements become successful and be appreciated by the hearers. And then Prabhupada actually makes the point that devotees, they decline to take credit for anything. This is such an important point here. Because they understand that everything is coming from what? Krishna is inspiring us. Everything is Krishna's words. Everything is happening by the will of Krishna. So how can I take credit for anything? Right? How can I take credit for anything? So devotees, they decline to take credit for anything because they know everything is happening by the will of the Lord, by the inspiration of the Lord. So all credits go actually to the Supreme Personality of God. Great. And also I explained this from Prabhupada saying how any material creation, they cannot beautifully grow without spiritual touch. Right? So as soon as material elements, someone may say, oh yeah, material elements, but if there's no spiritual touch to it, then it's just dead matter. Right? So similarly, my words, though they may be like material akshar, but by your presence, let them not be dead, because then devotees won't come close to it. And the last sentence of this purport says, Sukdev prays for the mercy of the Lord, not only for being helped personally in presenting the truth, but also for helping others to whom he would like to speak. So beautiful. So Sukdev Goswami is praying to the Lord, not only for his, so that when he is presenting the truth is so wonderful, but he's also praying for all of us. Sukdev Goswami is praying to Krishna for all of us, that we actually can understand what is there. we can relish the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Sukadeva Goswami is praying for us that not only his words be wonderful, but we also relish the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. Okay, so those are the prayers of Sukadeva Goswami. So text 24 and 25 is the final verses. So 24 is Sukadeva Goswami offering obeisances to Vyasadeva, and then text 25th is the final leading on to the next chapter. Okay, so let's just do quickly this 24, 25, and take a break.
Namastasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Papur Jnanam Ayam Somya Yamukam Uruha Savam.
Can I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, Mashruba.
Yes. Translation, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Vasudeva, who compiled the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotees drink up the nectarian transcendental knowledge dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So now he's offering obeisances to his spiritual master, right? Vyasadeva is saying, I offer my respectful obeisances. So up to this point, he's prayed to Krishna, Tasmai Shubhada Sarvase Namo Namaha, and Prasidata Me Bhagwan Satam Patim, be pleased with me. And now he's saying, I offer my obeisances to Sukadeva, to Vyasadeva, and then I will actually speak this Bhagavatam. And then why is he offering obeisances to Vyasadeva? Here he says, Tasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Vasudeva referring to Vyasadeva. Vedase means one who is the compiler of the Vedic knowledge, right? Because he is compiled all the Vedic knowledge and he is my spiritual master, I offer obeisances unto him. Right? How we read in the first canto, Anatto Pasam Shakshan Bhakti Yoga Madokshade Lokasya Janto Vidam Chakre Satvata Samhita. Who actually compiled this Samhita? It was Vyasadeva, right? So he's offering him obeisances to Vyasadeva. Now, so that is the direct meaning. And Prabhupada says, Sridhar Swami, Jiva Goswami, they agree that here Sukadeva Goswami is offering obeisances to Vyasadeva. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who is always a Rasika Guru, Rasika Acharya, he gives a very Rasika meaning to this verse. And he says that the Vasudevaya is not actually Vyasadeva. The Vasudeva is Krishna himself. Right? So Sukadeva Goswami is offering obeisances to Krishna. Then if Vasudeva is Krishna, the other part here is actually saying Saumya. Right? Saumya. Saumya means what? If Vasudeva refers to Krishna, then Saumya refers to the gopis. So before speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami is meditating on how, he's offering respects to Krishna, right? And then Saumya referring to the gopis. And he's saying, just like how the gopis, they drink the nectar of the lotus mouth of Krishna. How Vishwanath Chakravarti is so Rasika. How the gopis drink the nectar of the lotus mouth of Krishna. And what is that nectar filled with? It is filled with extraordinary knowledge. It is filled with rasa. It is filled with dancing. It is filled with singing, music. It is filled with so much art. Right? So Sukadeva Goswami is meditating on that sweetness of coming from the lotus mouth of Krishna. And he's actually meditating on the gopis of Krishna before starting to speak Srimad Bhagavatam. And how they relish the nectar from the mouth of Krishna Vasudeva. Right? And this is actually, one way referring to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who actually established Ramya Kachit Upasana Bharshu Vargena Kalpa. The best devotees of Krishna are who? The gopis of Vrindavan. So if they are the best devotees, then it is natural that Sukadeva Goswami is meditating on the best devotees of Krishna before speaking the Srimad Bhagavatam. So one way, the direct meaning that Sridhar Swami and Jiva Goswami are saying that the devotees, they drink the nectarian knowledge, nectarian knowledge dropping from the lotus mouth of the Lord. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying the gopis, they drink the nectar of the lotus mouth of Krishna, which is filled with all those things. So let me meditate on that so that even my words may be filled with, knowledge, ornaments, rasa, dancing, singing, music, poetry, everything may be there in my words. And with that prayer, now Sukadeva Goswami is going to start speaking. Right? So the last verse of this chapter.
Etad evatma bhura rajan naradaya viprichate vedagarbho vyadad shakshad yad aha haryat atmanaha.
Hare Krishna. My dear King Brahma, the firstborn, on being questioned by Narada, exactly apprised him on this subject, as it was directly spoken by the Lord to his own son, who was impregnated with the Vedic knowledge from his very birth.
So now he has completed his offering of obeisances, and now he's saying, "Oh, my dear king, oh Parikshit," right? He's saying, "Oh Parikshit, you asked this question about the creation, primary, secondary creation, right? You have asked this question. So I am going to give you the answer. Eva. Eva means what? Exactly. Exactly as Atmabhu. Atmabhu is who? Who is self-born? Who is actually Brahmaji, because Brahmaji did not take, he was born from the navel of Vishnu. Atmabhu and Narada, Naradaya. So it is how Brahma gave this knowledge to Narada. Similarly, I will give you this knowledge, and this will actually answer your question. Based on your questions, I'll give you this knowledge. And then he actually says Veda Garbha. Veda Garbha means who is impregnated with Vedic knowledge from birth. And this Brahma is actually impregnated with Vedic knowledge from birth. He actually gave this knowledge. So I will give you exactly the same knowledge by referring to a conversation between Brahma and Narada. And that is basically the next chapter. And so they was going to repeat the same statements as he had heard them from Vyas. That is a way of Vedic understanding. So Prabhupada is making the point that this is our parampara system. We speak what we have already heard from the previous Acharya. So the language of the Vedas can be revealed only by the above mentioned disciplic succession. Right? So only through this disciplic succession you can actually receive this knowledge. Okay, so we'll stop here. So let's see. So that's this chapter 4. Right? So the main aspects of chapter 4 is the prayers, and then before that we read about Maharaj Parikshit's question, and the starting of the chapter was how Maharaj Parikshit actually had that internal detachment, and then he focused completely, having here Tivrena Bhakti Yoga, completely concentrated on Krishna, gave up all internal attachments, and he renounced everything, and then he focused on Krishna, and then he asked the questions, and before responding, Sukadeva Goswami has compiled these beautiful prayers in the 4th chapter. Okay, so I hope you have developed some appreciation for these beautiful prayers. Please study them, this week. If you have not already done, please read them again, and, see how Sukadeva Goswami is actually glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how he's invoking the mercy of the Lord, how he's saying, "Oh Lord, please speak through me, please decorate my words, just like how you inspired Brahma, please inspire me, amplify my voice, please let my words be filled with ornaments, please give me that knowledge so that I can speak about you," and so on. So let's see if there are any comments, realization. We'll take a break and then we'll start with chapter 5.
So, I was just one question was coming, like when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was seen by Vallabha Bhatta, who had this compiled Srimad Bhagavatam so nicely, and then Mahaprabhu really chastised him for his, speaking against Sridhar Swami's commentary. So here we see Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur is trying to, give a complete different outlook. I mean, he is Ekanishtha towards Vrindavan. That's why he could only see that. So, I mean, how do we see that?
Yeah. So one thing is like, Nana Arthaka. Prati shloke, prati akshare, Nana Arthaka. That every shloka, every word has so many meanings, right? So that's why our acharyas, they may have different meanings to the same verse. And we see this even in the previous chapter, there was this one verse where it was like Prabhupada gave an explanation, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gave a totally different explanation. But as long as all of them are in that mood of bhakti to Krishna, are actually in this line of devotion to Krishna, then it's all acceptable by our acharya. Now, in the case of Vallabha, he was refuting the commentary of Sridhar Swami and saying, no, this is better. This is better. So even like how we see Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami, throughout Chaitanya Charitamrita, what does he say? Actually, he makes a point. Actually, Vrindavan Das Thakur has already explained all this, right? What am I doing? I'm just taking the remnants of what is there and just doing on those remnants, right? So you see that mood. So Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is also talking about Chaitanya, Path Sense of Lord Chaitanya. Vrindavan Das Thakur has already talked about it. But what is Krishna Das Goswami's mood? He's saying, oh, Vrindavan Das Thakur, he is the authority. I am just like an insignificant person, and so, right? So in that we see the mood of the Acharya is appreciation for the other's commentary, not on the basis of refuting or saying that my commentary is better than. As soon as that mood of like mine is better or there's some refutation, then there is some envy or there's not that respect for the previous acharyas. Now, Prabhupada may give a slightly different explanation from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, but there is complete respect for acharyas, and Prabhupada said, well, this meaning will be more relishable for our Kali Yuga jivas. So hence I'll focus on this, right? So that's a good question. Vijayamati, you have a question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you mentioned that how Lakshmi Ji, the queens of Dwarka, and also the Braj Gopis, they are all, the source is all Srimati Radharani, but you were using different words like the queens of Dwarka are reflections of Radharani and Braj Gopis are the expansions of Radharani. So what is the difference, practical difference between these words, reflection, expansion, or just Lakshmi Ji? Radharani is the source of Lakshmi Ji.
See, like how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now he has his expansions in the sense like when Krishna is in the Ras Leela, then those expansions are all similar forms of Krishna, right? So we have all these like Prakash Leela and Vaibhav Prakash. Vaibhav Prakash and sorry, I'm forgetting those two words. But those expansions which are actually exactly, they look like Krishna, right? Like in the Ras Leela or in the 16,108 gopis, queens of Vrindavan, of Dwarka. 16,108 queens of Dwarka, the expansions of Krishna, right? They are all identical. So that is one. But then there is other expansion of Krishna in terms of Balaram, and then first Chaturvya, second Chaturvya. So, and then it comes all the way to Karnadaksha Vishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Shirodaksha Vishnu. So when we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita, when we are discussing the chapter of Nityananda Prabhu, that it says, well, there's the Amsha, then Karnadaksha Vishnu is the first Amsha, then his Amsha is Shirodaksha, is Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and his Amsha is Shiro. So Amsha, a part of the part of the part, right? So we see, yes, they are all coming from Krishna, but they carry different potencies of Krishna. So similarly with Radharani, the gopis are our direct expansions, direct expansion of Krishna. But then the queens are the reflections, right? They are not direct expansion, but the reflection. And then the Lakshmi Ganas are actually the partial expansions of Srimati Radharani. Just like how we have partial expansions of Krishna in terms of the Purusha avatars, etc. So it's all different potencies from the original source. So how Krishna has his energy expansion, we have Srimati Radharani with her different expansions.
Prabhuji, Braj Gopis and Lakshmi Ji is clear. But what is the meaning of reflection again? So this example is clear that just like Krishna expands in Rasa Dansa is exactly the same. Similarly, Braj Gopis are exactly the same. but Lakshmi Ji are partial extension, just like Gunavatars of Krishna, right? So what could be an example of reflection then for Krishna?
So the aspect of reflection is actually explained that how the gopis of Vrindavan are there. Similarly, how they're, we say 16,108 gopis. We say 16,108 gopis, right? So each of the gopis are actually one way manifested as a reflection in Dwarka. Means they don't have the Vrindavan mood, but they actually carry the Dwarka mood. Right? Like how we know Satyabhama, right? Satyabhama is expansion of Srimati Radharani, a reflection of Srimati Radharani. And then Rukmini is a reflection of Chandravali. Right? So all the gopis, they have their reflections in that.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Anything else? Any realizations? Any points that you like from the section that we discussed now from the prayers?
Prabhuji, I like that the devotees always should have that mood of service but with humility.
Yeah, very nice point. Prabhupada says if we do that, then Krishna is pleased with us, he'll reveal himself to us, and in that way he'll actually tell us how we can always be absorbed in Krishna. Any other points from these prayers?
I think the three prayers in the verse 23, very nice. Yeah. In terms of Sukadeva Goswami praying that Lord, enter in each of my words. Lord, enjoy qualities of my words, and Lord gives life to my words.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for bringing that point. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. In text 21, where he says the Lord demands absolute surrender unto him only, like Sarvadharman Paritiksha.
He is not a shopkeeper for mental speculative exchange. Prabhupada is so amazing to make that point. So the Lord is the Lord, and he demands Ananya Bhakti. That is Krishna, right? Absolute. Yes, thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The text 20th, like how Prabhupada explains the same word pati in different ways, and exactly, I really like the purport and the sloka as well, and it's amazing. And then 22, it says the awakening of knowledge in every jiva is done by Krishna, and even the amplification is also done by Krishna.
Thank you. Inspiration and also application, or inspiration. Thank you. Thank you, Bhuvani.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Good, Madhu.
I like all these verses which says, Bhagavan Prasintam, like, please be pleased with my whatever effort. And I also like the point when you said, go to Radha Golokunanda and ask, Krishna, what is my next service? That's so beautiful, bro. Yes, we've done this a little bit. What is our next service?
What does Prabhupada say that the point in the purport? Can you read that sentence?
In the text 19, or which one, bro?
No, the one you're talking about. There's one beautiful sentence, right, where Prabhupada says that how we should, every moment, we should actually pray. Let me see if I find that. I want to read that sentence. It's so beautiful. Okay, someone else has a point, and then I'll just find that. Venkat Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, like one point, the misuse of one's own intelligence for his own sense gratification is called madness. And one point, Prabhuji, like devotees decline to take the credit for any service they have done.
Yes, wonderful. The intelligence is coming from Krishna, but we are using that same intelligence for taking us away from Krishna, and that is basically madness. So that sentence was
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. I'm about to say, like, we have to do our whatever responsibility, whatever our karma, but it's like nimitta matra. Don't take any credit. That is the main thing.
Instrument. Thank you. So 19 purport, first paragraph, last sentence. Devotees are completely dependent on the orders of the Lord and are always ready to discharge their duty for the satisfaction of the Lord. Right? Bhagwan Prasidata. Thank you. Okay, one more maybe and then stop.
Prabhu, just wanted to add this. This is a very beautiful line at the end of the 20 verse. Prabhupada, the Pati verses. Prabhupada said, "The Lord is therefore the guide of all devotees, and as such, Sukadeva Goswami offered him due respects with love-laden feelings."
Yeah.
This is the actual meaning of this Pati, like how Sukadeva Goswami is looking at Krishna. You know.
These are real Pati with love-laden feelings in looking at Krishna. Beautiful. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. Okay, so we'll stop. We'll take a 5 minutes break and we'll start with chapter number 5. Okay, so 5 we can go a little bit faster until text 21, where we'll have a little bit more explanation on the aspect of creation. Okay, so let's come back in 5 minutes. Thank you so much. Shri Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Let's continue, everyone. Okay, so I wanted to announce like the dates for the first closed book exam for first 3 chapters of second canto. I was thinking if 13th of May would actually work for everyone. Saturday morning. And if you want, we could do either 10th of May, Wednesday evening for those who want the evening session, or 13th, Saturday morning. Okay for everyone? And then the essay for the first 3 chapters, I was thinking there's also like Sadhu Sangha and few events are coming, but maybe by the end, 31st of May. Will that be okay? End of May. So you have 1 full month to work on the essay for the first 3 chapters. Yeah.
Listening is good, Prabhuji. Exam states.
This, when there is exam, then I know everyone will really seriously study. Otherwise, we tend to take things a little lightly.
Yes, good.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, is it May 13th? Saturday, right?
May 13th.
Exam. Thank you.
I just posted on the group. Right? So May 13th and May 31st, the essay. Okay, everyone okay with these dates? May 13th?
What time, Prabhuji? May 13th?
Saturday we could do morning.
Morning. I have afternoon seva, Prabhuji. So
Yeah, morning, like normally we do 8 to 9, right?
thank you so much.
Like, I'm okay to whatever time works for everyone. If we can do morning, that will be best.
So you said 10th also possible?
Yeah, 10th also is possible. Yeah, we can do CD also on May 10th if we need May 10th, then evening, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Like 7? 7
Yes,
is
ma'am. Yes.
May 13th, we also have MSF, so has to be morning, right? Because we have MSF.
yeah, after 11 a.m. Okay, so let's work on these dates. Right. Okay, so let's start. We are in Let me share my screen and we'll just do a quick overview of the next chapter. Okay, so this is chapter second canto, chapter 5, the cause of all causes, right? So different sections in this. First is, so basically last verse I already said that Sukadeva Goswami is saying, I'm going to answer your questions, but I'm going to quote the conversation between Narada and Brahmaji, right? So that is the Narada Brahma Samvad is from this chapter, and the next 3 chapters actually will be discussing Brahma Narada Samvad, right? So first, Narada, he actually asks 6 questions about the aspect of creation, which will answer Parikshit Maharaj's questions. So first section, he asks 6 questions, and then he actually says, oh Brahma, it seems that you are actually the supreme independent personality of Godhead. And Brahma said, Narada, he's such an elevated personality. How is he having these doubts? So we'll come to that. So he's thinking like, I just see that you are actually doing all the task of creation. You are maintaining, you're the original creator. So I think you are the supreme. But one thing gets me a doubt. What is that one thing? That you are meditating on someone. So maybe there's someone. So talk about that, right? So he asks these 6 questions. Then Brahma, he actually clarifies, and he clearly says that I'm just subordinate. There's only a supreme personality of Godhead. Then from 14 to 16, third section, then Brahma answers. First, there are 6 questions. Question 1 to question 6. So 3 of those questions are answered in 3 verses here. Q1, Q2, Q3, right? Q5. The Q here referring to the 6 questions, right? Q1 to Q6. And then from 17 to 20 is, Brahma actually says that actually I'm not the creator, it is all Krishna's inspiration. So he confirms that point. And then this 21 to 35, which is a major section of this chapter, is actually the answer to question 3, which is Yatha Shrishtam. We'll come to this question. And then last part, he describes the Virat Rupa. That is the end of this chapter. Okay. So 6 sections of this. We start with Narada's questions, Brahma's clarification, answers clarification on the question, then answering the question, and then that continues in the next chapters. So let's start text number 1.
Narada Uvacha Deva Deva Namastestu Bhuta Bhavana Purvaja Tad Vigyani Yajgyanam Atma Tattva Nidarshanam. Shri Narada Muni asked Brahmaji, O chief amongst the demigods, O firstborn living entity, I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Please tell me that transcendental knowledge which specifically directs one to the truth of the individual soul and the supersoul.
So Narada Uvacha. So we see Narada Muni, he's speaking now, and he's addressing Brahmaji with 3 different words. Deva Deva, you are the chief among all the demigods. Right? First one, Deva Deva. Then Bhuta Bhavana, you are the generator of all living entities. All living entities are created by Brahma, so it's Bhuta Bhavana. Then third is Purvaja. Purvaja means you are the firstborn living entity. Even before Marichi, before the 4 Kumaras, before Rudra, it is Brahmaji. So you are Purvaja, you are the firstborn. And then Tat Vijanihi, you please explain to me. And explain what? Atma Tattva Nidarshana. Explain me that knowledge that will actually specifically go towards Atma Tattva, right? Towards the realization of the self and the super self. Right? You speak that knowledge to me that will give knowledge about the self and the super self. Right? So Prabhupada in the purport, he basically says that this is the perfection of the Parampara system. Parampara means that we should receive knowledge from someone who is coming from a unbroken chain of teachers. Right? So Prabhupada talks about that. And he says like how Narada is asking knowledge from Brahma and Brahma receives the knowledge from Krishna. So it is Parampara there. Right? And then Prabhupada actually focuses on this aspect and he quotes Bhagavad Gita Tadvidi Paripatena Pariprashnena Sevaya Upadekshiti Jnaninas Tattva Darshan. So what are the 3 qualities here? It says one has to be surrender, one should have submissive inquiries and sevaya. Right? Tadvidhi Paripatena. Paripatena means question. Pariprashnena. Oh, sorry. Paripatena means surrender. Pariprashnena question and sevaya. Right? So these 3 qualities are important from the disciple side, And then what is the quality from the spiritual master side? Tadvidi paripatena pariprasnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam. Right? Jnaninas tattvadarshana. That spiritual master is one who has actually seen the truth. Because he has seen the truth, he can actually impart that knowledge. Right? So qualification of Guru and that of disciple. So we see Narad Muni, he is offering that obeisances to Brahmaji. So that is the aspect of surrender, accepting Brahma as the superior person to give the knowledge. And then he's making submissive inquiries here. Inquiries. Please give me knowledge, right? That vijanihi, please give me knowledge about Atma Tattva, right? Now, there was one reference I wanted to give. This a beautiful verse from the Canto 4, chapter 20, text 25, 4:20, 25. Right? This is beautiful. Sa uttama shoka mahan mukhachato bhavat padam bhujam sudha kana nilaha smritim puna vismrita tattva vartamana kuyoginam na vitarati alambaraihe. Right? So basically this verse is actually saying that I want to show you this verse. It's so beautiful. I'll just pull it up on the screen. Okay, so it actually comes in the prayers of Prithu Maharaj, and particularly this verse shows why it is actually important to receive knowledge through a parampara system, and why only through that knowledge received through a parampara can we actually understand the spiritual reality. On my screen. You see my screen? Yeah. So this is the verse 4:20, 25. And here it says, Sa Uttama Shloka, right? O Lord, who are praised by selected verses, Mukhya Chuta, right, delivered from Mouth. So, my dear Lord, you are glorified by selected verses, uttered by great personalities. Such glorification of your lotus feet is just like saffron particles. When the transcendental vibration from the mouths of the great devotees carries the aroma of the saffron dust of your lotus feet, the forgetful living entity gradually remembers his eternal relationship with you. Devotees thus gradually come to the right conclusion about the value of life. My dear Lord, I therefore do not need any other benediction but the opportunity to hear from the mouth of a pure devotee. Right? This verse is actually saying when the pure devotees, when they speak Hari Katha, what are they carrying? That sound is no longer a material sound. It is actually carrying the aroma. Like the words are carrying the smell, the fragrance, the aroma of the saffron dust from the lotus feet of Krishna. And when that spiritual vibration enters into the ears of one who is surrendered, who is submissive, and who is in the mood of service, then that actually, what does that happen? Two things happen. The living entity remembers his eternal relationship with Krishna, and then he understands what is the value of life, what is the goal of life. And then Prithu Maharaj is saying that all I want is to hear from the mouth of your pure devotee. So here, a pure devotee always engages in the service of the Lord, taking shelter of the lotus feet, and therefore he has a direct connection with the saffron mercy particles that are strewn over the lotus feet of the Lord. So a devotee always serves the Lord, is taking shelter, and therefore he has a contact, direct connection with the saffron mercy particles which are on the lotus feet of the Lord. Right? So although when a pure devotee speaks, it may sound like words of this material world, the voice is spiritually very powerful because it touches the particles of the saffron dust on the lotus feet of the Lord. And as soon as a sleeping living entity hears the powerful voice emanating from the mouth of pure devotee, he immediately remembers his eternal relationship with the Lord, and as he has forgotten, that remembrance comes. So this is the point that devotees, when the words are actually coming from the mouth of devotees who are connected in a parampara, they are carrying the saffron dust from the lotus feet of Krishna. And when that actually enters into our heart, then we can revive our relationship with Krishna. Okay, so here Brahma, Narad Muni has offered his obeisances to Krishna, to Brahma, glorified Brahma, and asked a question about Tattva Gyan. Okay, next two.
Yat rupam yat adhishtanam yata shrishtam idam prabho yat samstam yat param yat chai tat tatvam vada tatvataha.
Who's next?
I'll go approach. Translation. My dear Father, please describe factually the symptoms of this manifest world. What is its background? How is it created? How is it conserved? And under whose control is all this being done?
So this is just from Subodhini. I'm sharing my screen. So 6 questions that Narad Muni is asking Brahma, right? What is the first question? Yad Rupam. What are the characteristics of the universe? And that we'll discuss today in this text 14. Then Yad Adhisthana. What is the shelter? Right? So this is described in this chapter and also in next chapter. Yatha Shrishtam. How is this created? So this process of creation is the elaboration, starting from Karnadaksha Vishnu, his glance, and how the material nature, Pradhan, Mahatattva, all those elements, and the Ahankar, and then the modes of material nature, and further. So that is Yatha Shrishtam. How is it created? Then the fourth one is Yat Samstha. How is it conserved? Right? So when there's destruction, where does all those elements go back into? Yat Samstha. Then Yat Param. What does it depend on? Right. So this is kind of similar to Yad Adishtam. What is shelter? So question 2 and question 5 are kind of related. And then Yat Cha. What is this composed of? What are the ingredients of this material manifestation? Right? So these are the 6 questions. Characteristics of the universe, shelter. What does it depend on? How is it created? How is it conserved? And what is it composed of? So these are 6 questions. In one verse, these 6 questions are being asked by Narad Muni. So Prabhupada in the purport, he actually says that Narad Muni's inquiry is based on factual cause and effect. Right? So we see the effect here. What is the effect? The manifestation of this material world. Right? So one should actually find out what is the cause behind this. Who is the supreme cause behind everything? That is the real inquiry. Now Prabhupada makes the point that what materialistic scientists, what is their focus? Yes, the material world is created without focusing on the cause of creation or speculating about the cause of creation. They are just focused with the energy and how can I manipulate this energy for my own sense gratification, for my own convenience, right? So they do not look into the cause and effect principle. They just work with the effect, manipulate the effect and say that I am the supreme. There is this, I think you must have heard this, like there's a competition between God and an atheist. Right? And one person says, okay, there's competition. Okay, first we'll start and we'll see who can build a nice big palace. Okay. And the atheist said, I can do it. I have all the modern machines to do it. Right? And then God says, okay, let's see. And then he starts up and he first takes sand and puts it in the machine. God said, no. The sand is mine. You cannot start off by sand. You start up with your own machinery and make a house. Then we'll see. The sand is mine. It's not yours, right? So the materialist scientists, we take all those elements and then we claim, oh, I did it. But who's giving us all these elements? And then finally, the other point that I actually said that, the person may start acting, but we can say, who has given you the brain? Who's designed your brain to even act on it? Right? Who is the cause behind it? That is Krishna. So material science is on the level of just the effect principle without looking at the cause. But Narad Muni's inquiry is basically on the cause. And that is the way we understand knowledge. And the second point, Prabhupada says that transcendental knowledge does include the aspect of the phenomenal world. In 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna say? I'll give you both phenomenal and numinous knowledge. Knowing this, nothing further shall remain for you to know. Right? So when we talk of spiritual knowledge, yes, it is talking of Vaikuntha planets, Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna's pastimes, everything. But the understanding of the workings of this material nature is also comes under transcendental knowledge. Right? So Narad Muni's question is not something material. Though it is talking about the material creation, the topic, the conversation is completely spiritual. Okay. Text 3.
Sarvam yetad bhavan veda bhuta bhavya bhavat prabhuhu karamalakar vadvishvam vigyanavasitam tava.
Who's next after?
Prabhuji.
Here
Can
we
you- Yeah, Hare Krishna. Translation. My dear father, all this known to you scientifically because whatever was created in the past, whatever will be created in the future, or whatever is being created at present, as well as everything within the universe is within your grip, just like a walnut. Hare Krishna.
So we see this mood that after a question is asked, and we learn so much about the culture. When you ask a question, we express, the person who is asking the question expresses his confidence in the person to whom the question is asked. In the previous chapter, in chapter 4, we see when Parikshit Maharaj, he starts asking the question. First of all, he says, "Oh Sukadev Goswami, you are Sarvagya, you are the knower of everything. Right? You know everything. Hence, you can actually dispel my doubt also." Right? So similarly here, when Narad Muni is asked this question, then he's saying, Sarvam hi etad bhavan veda. Everything is certainly known to yourself, to your good self, right? Everything is known. Bhuta bhavya bhavat. All that is in the past, all that is in the present, and all in the future that is going to be created. Bhuta bhavya bhavat. So present, past, future. Everything is actually Prabhu. You are the master of everything. You know everything. Right? And then how does he know? Kara Amalaka. What is Amalaka? Who knows Amalaka?
Amla.
Amla. Yes, Amla. He said just like Kara referring to the hand, Kara Amalaka. Just like someone may hold like a Amala in his hand, and then he has Amla in his hand, it's just like a small thing. You know everything of the Amla. It is completely in your control. Right? Similarly, Brahma has Vishwam. He's holding the Vishwam, the entire universe in his grip. Hence, Brahma knows everything. What is not known for Brahma? So Narad Muni is saying, you are holding the entire universe in your group. You are the knower of everything, past, present, and future. You are the master of everything. And hence, you can actually Vikyana Avasthitam Tava. And you know all this scientifically. Hence, you can actually reveal this knowledge to me. You can answer my questions. So Prabhupada purport says that how Brahma is the direct creator of this material world. And hence, because he is the direct creator, he knows everything about his creation. Right? Just like the example is given. If someone is manufacturing something, then he knows the art of manufacturing. He knows how to get the ingredients for that. He knows how to do the setup, the machinery, and he knows what are the products. Right? So any process, if you consider, one knows, first of all, the art of making it. One knows the ingredients, one knows the setup, and one knows the products. So similarly, Brahma, Narad Muni is saying, Brahma, you know the art of creation. You know where the ingredients came up. That's why he's asking the sixth question, which actually says, okay, what are the ingredients? What is the material universe composed of? Right? How is everything set up? And what are the products? What is, how will the material universe finally wind up? All that is actually known to you because you are the direct creator of this material world. Okay? So you please reveal this knowledge, right? So text 4.
Yad vigyano yad adharo yad parastvam yad atmakaha ekashijasi bhutani bhutar evatma mayaya. Jai Mataji.
My dear father, what is the source of your knowledge? Under whose protection are you standing and under whom are you working? What is your real position? Do you alone create all entities with material elements by your personal energy?
So one way, see this here, it appears that there are so many questions. Prabhupada has explained all these as different questions. Right? So one way Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually makes a point that there are totally 10 questions, he said. In the sense that those 6 questions, in that the second and the fifth is actually very similar. So he says 5 questions there and 5 questions here. So he said totally there are actually 10 questions that Narad Muni is asking. Right? But that is one way of looking at this. But the other way of looking at this is actually where Narad Muni is saying that, when he's asking these, what is the source of your knowledge? Under whose protection are you standing? Under whom are you working? Who's your boss? One way Narad Muni is actually looking at Brahma and saying, like, there's actually you yourself are your own boss. There's no one superior to you. You yourself are creating the knowledge, right? And then next words, he'll give an example of this to elaborate on this point. Right? We'll come to that example. And you alone create all the entities with material elements by your personal energy. So one way Narad Muni, one way of looking at it is like Narad Muni's questions to Brahma, but one way it also indicates that Narad Muni's observation of Brahma. And he's saying, Brahma, you yourself are the creator. You yourself create the energy. You yourself are your own boss. There is no one superior to you. So both ways you can see this way. Yeah? Now, if you see this conversation, we are going to step back a little bit, right? Sukadev Goswami is answering to Parikshit Maharaj, right? And he's saying, Narad Muni has asked this question. Now, in that assembly, who is there? Narad Muni is personally there. So why does he not say, Narad Muni, you spoke to Brahma this knowledge, why don't you speak? Why is he, Sukadev Goswami, himself speaking this knowledge? Anyone has any thoughts on this? Think about it. I'll come to the answer in a minute. Right? Okay. So, so Prabhupada in the purport says that it was known to Sri Narad Muni that Lord Brahma attained creative energy. Okay. So Prabhupada is taking the verses further, but the main point here. Okay. The main point that Prabhupada is making in this purport is, that Narad Muni is also making the point that, Brahma, he is asking Brahma that how did you actually do the creation? In the sense that he knew that even Brahma is dependent on someone for his creation. One way Prabhupada is explaining that point here. And he actually says that anything that is created cannot be done independently. Why? Even a scientist may make a particular gadget, make an iPhone, and he say like, I have done it. But he's dependent on Krishna to give him the intelligence to do it. Who has given you the brain to do it? Right? So everyone is dependent on Krishna finally for doing any aspect of creation. So Prabhupada put this in. Okay? So we go to the next verse. So I'll answer the question. The question is still there. Okay, next 5.
Atman bhavaya setani na para bhavayan swayam atma shaktim avastabhya purnanabhir iva klamaha.
Hare Krishna translation. Whatever we can understand by the I think it's the previous. Sorry.
Text 5.
Translation: as the spider very easily creates the network of its cobweb and manifests its power of creation without being defeated by others, so also you yourself, by employment of your self-sufficient energy, create without any other's help.
If you see in the previous verse, one way he asked this question, but his question is more of an expression that Brahma, I think you yourself are doing everything. And here he's elaborating. And he's saying that you yourself, by employment of your self-sufficient energy, create without any other's help. Brahma, you are the supreme creator. So if you see the word, it says Atman bhavayase. You manifest by the self. Na para bhavayam. You're not defeated by anyone. You swayam by your own Atma Shakti. You yourself create the energies and then you employ them, avasthabhya, and then without akarmaha, without getting tired, you actually create the whole world. And what is the example here? This example comes repeatedly again and again in Srimad Bhagavatam. Second canto we are reading. Third canto at least 2-3 times it is there. This example is there throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the example? Urna Nabhihi. Who is a Urna Nabhi? Spider, right? Spider. Now, if you know, okay, so let's think about it. A spider creates a cobweb, right? Now, how is it actually doing it? What are the elements by which the spider is actually using, like in process of creation? So maybe you all can say, what is there in that aspect of creation when the spider is creating a cobweb? Like just in, yeah, okay. If you have any thoughts.
Saliva.
Saliva. So where is the saliva coming from? It is coming from the spider itself. The spider is expanding the saliva into cobweb. So it is his own saliva that is becoming a cobweb. So he's not taking it from anywhere. It is his own body. So first thing. So similarly, Brahma, by his own energy, he is manifesting this entire world. Then what else can we think about?
Intelligence of how to make the web.
Very nice. So the spider knows how to create a cobweb. No one is coming and telling him that, okay, put this here, then put this string here, and then this here. And then if you see the cobweb, it is so like one way, it's like very intricate and very beautiful design. But the Brahma, the spider is using his own brain to do it. So no one else is giving him the knowledge. We know it is Krishna finally, but in terms of this example, the spider is using his knowledge, using his energy as saliva, then what else?
Winding the cobweb.
Winding the cobweb. Yes. So the spider, whenever he chooses, he says, okay, now purpose solved. I will just wind up. And where does all the energies go back into? Into his body. Right? So similarly, Brahma is creating. And then to the question that where does everything go back? Narad Muni is saying that actually it goes back into you, just like a spider. His cobweb gets back into his body. Right? So that is the third aspect. So first is the aspect of saliva, his own energy. Second is knowledge. Third is winding up. What else? Okay, so I'll go there like 7 points. First is ingredient, right? We talked about that. It is coming from the spider, right? Second is knowledge, right? No one had to teach him. He's doing it from self-knowledge. Third is the aspect of creation, right? The spider, he's not saying, okay, you all people come here and create. He himself is doing the creation on his own. Right? Spider himself creates. That's third. So he's saying, Brahma, you yourself do the create. Then fourth is he does not take energy from somewhere else to do the creation. It is own self-sufficient energy. Right? That same word is self-sufficient. Fifth is he winds up on his own. Sixth is aklamaha. Aklamaha means he does not get tired. Well, maybe a spider gets tired, but in this case, he's saying, Brahma, you create, but you don't get tired. The sixth. And the seventh one, the cobweb exists for a particular time, and then under the will of the spider, it is born. So 7 aspects of the spider, and he's saying, just like the spider, the 7 aspects of that, Brahma, you yourself are doing the creation like these 7 aspects. Right? Next verse, let's go for it. So Uru Nabi is okay, everyone? Yeah, okay, Mati, you have a question?
Bro, but we hear that that the spider gets entangled in its own cobweb. Isn't that an example given?
That's not generally the case. Maybe in some special situations, the spider may get entangled in its own web. But normally, how it functions, the purpose is creates a cobweb, catches the prey. When the prey is there, the spider eats it, done, and then winds up everything. Right? So exactly. Right? So that example of sometimes the spider himself gets caught, that can be used further, not now in this context, but later on we can say how Brahma himself, though he's creating, he himself can get caught up with the modes. So that's not in this part of the discussion, because that will spoil the flow, what Narad Muni is expressing. Right? Okay, let's go next. 6.
Krishna Prabhuji, I have one quick question.
Okay, go ahead.
The same way, the spider creates the web to catch the prey. How does it relate to Brahma's creation? Is he utilizing anything of his creation? Any aspect of the
To catch the prey, that aspect you see?
The spider is doing that to catch the prey, right? Is there any analogy for Brahma's creation?
So why is Brahma creating the world?
Realizing anything out of his creation? Is there a reason for the creation?
Or is
Because
that- yeah.
it is not relevant, then we can move on.
Yeah. So why is Brahma actually creating? Everyone has a desire to create. As living entities, we are all Ishvara, but tiny Ishvaras. And we ourselves have some desire to create. Brahma being a great personality, he has a desire to create. So that is from Brahma viewpoint, we can say that everyone has a desire to create. That's one answer for it. But beyond that, which we come to a deeper answer, we know it is Krishna's will that this entire material world be created, and he actually appointed Brahma as the person to do the task of creation. Because Krishna knows that there are so many jivas who have turned away from me and they need a place where they can actually go through RRA, right? Reform their rebellious attitude. So he is employing Brahma and saying, Brahma, you do the task of creation. And then jivas who are rebellious, they can go live there, suffer, and then finally through that they can actually come back to him. So that is the underneath cause of creation, right? So it is actually Krishna has given the instruction to Brahma that you create. So hence Brahma is actually created. But that is like the deeper meaning which we have not come to this point here. Here, Narad Muni's vision is Brahma, you yourself are the original creator. And we all have a desire to create. So I saying, Brahma, how you have created this material world is very nice, very beautiful, and so on. Okay. Is that okay? Vijayamati, your question?
Prabhuji, so in this Urna Navya example, you said that he uses his own energy, then he uses his knowledge, and then winds up to save the energy again. Did I miss anything? You said 7 points or 3 points?
7. So ingredients, first point. Second point is the knowledge. Third point is he himself does the creation, right? Spider himself is taking the saliva and creating it. Third point. Fourth point, when he's creating the web, he's not taking energy from a third source, right? It is his own energy that he's using even for the purpose of creation, right? That's the fourth point. Fifth point is he winds up the whole thing at the end of the purpose of the cobweb. He himself takes it within him. Sixth point, he does not get fatigued, aklamaha, right? And seventh point is the period that the cobweb exists is by the will of the spider. The spider says, I want the cobweb to exist for so and so time. So similarly, Brahma is deciding, I want this material universe to exist for so and so time. After that,
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Next verse, let's go 6.
Sorry. Naham veda param yasmin, na param na samam vivo, nama rupa gunar bhavyam, sat asat kinchit anyataha. What?
Translation. Whatever we can understand by the nomenclature, characteristics, and features of a particular thing, superior, inferior, or equal, eternal or temporary, is not created from any source other than that of your lordship, though so great.
So here, see what is Narad Muni's mood? He's saying, Brahma, I think you are the supreme creator. So here he's saying that whatever we understand by name, characteristics, and feature, right? Naam, Roop, and Gun, name, form, and character. Anything that exists, right? Which is Sat or Asat, which is either gross or subtle, right? Which is Aparam, right? Or Samam, which is neither inferior, which is either superior, inferior. So Param, Aparam, or Samam, which is either superior, inferior, or which is actually on the equal level. Anything that exists in this material world, we know that it is actually created by you. You are so great. So Narad Muni is expressing this point to Brahmaji, and you are so great at anything we see in this material world, whether that's different forms of bodies, 8.4 million different species of life. Some of them are inferior, some are superior, some on the equal level. All these life forms, anything that exists in this material world, in terms of name, form, characteristics, everything is actually kinchit anyataha, created by You. There's no other source behind you. It is you who has created this entire world. Okay, text 7.
Sabhavan acharat ghoram yatapat susumahitah tena kedayase nasvam tarasa shankam chayachasi.
Yet we are moved to wonder about the existence of someone more powerful than you when we think of your great austerities in perfect discipline, although your good self is so powerful in the matter of creation.
So up to text 6, Narad Muni has said, Brahma, you are the supreme creator. Anything that exists in the material world is coming from you. Just like a spider, you are creating, it's your energies, you're winding up, everything is you. Yet, only one thing creates a doubt, a shankam in my mind. What is that one thing? That you are actually Sir Bhavan Acharat Ghoram. You sometimes do this very ghora, very severe tapaha, austerities. Now, if you are the supreme, why would you actually do some severe austerity? Who are you trying to please? Except for this one action of yours, I feel that you are the supreme. But this one action is telling me that maybe there is someone superior to you. So please tell me who is that. Okay. So, Parashankam Charyachasi. That's giving us a chance of this doubt that maybe there is someone para, an ultimate truth other than you. Now, to answer the question, right? Now, does Narad Muni not know this? Obviously, Narad Muni knows, right? To think that Brahma is the supreme creator, there's no one beyond Brahma. That's like, it's like even a bhakta who comes in a temple and he stays in the temple for some time, he knows that Krishna is the supreme. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. That's like one of the first few verses that we learn. Narad Muni knows for sure that Krishna is the supreme and Brahma is just an instrument. Right? Now, we'll come. Okay, we'll do like maybe 2-3 more verses because I want to come to that point. But yeah, I'm just building upon a point. Why Sukadeva Goswami spoke, why Narad Muni did not directly speak, why Narad Muni is getting these doubts, though he knows everything. Right? Okay. Let's see. So Prabhupada in the purport, he actually says, so following in the footsteps of Narad Muni, one should not blindly accept his spiritual master as God himself. Right? The spiritual master is a representative of God, but he is not God himself. Right? So Narad Muni, he's actually making this point. Through this story, he's making the point that because Brahmaji is doing severe austerities to please someone, that means there's someone superior to him. So anyone who is actually engaged in some process of spiritual perfection, or anyone who is meditating on someone else, that means that is someone superior to him. Because the guru also goes through a process. He himself is engaged in the limbs of bhakti. He is engaged in glorification. That means that he is worshipping someone superior to him. So to actually consider the guru equal to God is actually a wrong conception, because the guru himself is worshipping someone superior. So we actually consider the guru as a representative of God, but not God himself. Right? So Prabhupada says, if a guru is actually claiming that I am God, then he should at once be rejected. He should reject it. But no, only Krishna is that. And also Prabhupada in this talks about a concept, a theological concept called Ahangra Pasana. Right? So what is this concept of Ahangro Pasana? That people actually consider, okay, our experience is all human beings here. Right? And among the human beings, maybe there is someone who is greater than, like maybe one of us has some better qualities than the remaining. So they extend the concept of the human civilization and say, oh, this person has much better qualities, and hence he is actually God. So they consider themselves that, oh, one among us is actually God, but that entire concept is wrong. God is totally different. Man is created in the image of God, not God is created in the image of man. So people say God is created in the image of man. The best man among us is God, but that is a wrong concept. Right? Okay, text 8.
Etan me prishata sarvam sarvagya sukuleshvara vijanihi yatai vedam aham budye nushasitaha.
My dear Father, you know everything, and you are the controller of all. Therefore, may all that I have inquired from you be kindly instructed to me, so that I may be able to understand it as your student.
This is Etan me prichata sarvam. I have asked you, I am inquisitive to know all this. And then again he's saying Sarvagya. You actually know everything. Similarly, in the previous chapter, what did Parikshit Maharaj say, Sukdev Goswami? You are Sarvagya. You know everything. So similarly here, Narad Muni is expressing his confidence on Brahmaji. You are Sarvagya. And Sakaleshwara, Sakala means all, Ishwara, you are the controller of everything. So you please kindly explain my doubts. Vijanihi yathai vedam, right? And anushasitaha. Explain it in such a way that I can understand. Because you are supreme, you may explain in such a way that it goes above my head. So please explain in such a way that I can understand it. Right? So Prabhupada and the purpose is making the point that Narad Muni is asking this question so that everyone who's coming in the line of this Brahma Sampradaya or anyone in the future can understand this conversation that took place between Brahma and Narada. Right? Okay. So it's very short purports also in this section. That's why I'm going a little faster. Now we'll see how Brahma answers. Okay, text 9.
Brahmovacha samyakarunikasjedam bhatta te vichikitsitam yad aham chodita somya bhagavad virya darshane.
Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Lord Brahma said, "My dear boy Narad, being merciful to all, including me, you have asked all these questions because I have been inspired to see into the prowess of the Almighty Personality of Godhead." Hare Krishna.
So this verse is answering both of my questions that I asked, right? So first question is, Narad knows everything. Why is he asking this question to Brahma? You know, that he is the supreme. Because out of Samyak Karunika. Karunika means what? Out of the merciful nature of Narad Muni, that he is actually asking this for whom? For the benefit of all the people to come. Right? That actually Brahma, one may say higher, you go higher, come to Brahma and say, oh, Brahma is supreme. Oh, for all those people, Narad is making clear that if you accept Brahma as the authority, Brahma himself is saying Ishvara, Parama, Krishna, Sachidananda, Vigraha, Anadi Radhe, Govinda, Sarva Karana Karanam. So if Brahma is making that, all the people should come, should just accept Brahma's authority and accept Krishna as supreme. So out of mercy for all people to come, Narad Muni is asking this question. Right? Now, second point is Narad Muni is asking this question as a mercy on Brahma. How is that? Right? The verse says, right, including me. Because by Narad Muni asking this question is giving an opportunity for Brahma to meditate Bhagavad Virya Darshane. He has the darshan of the prowess of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it is Narad Muni's merciful nature on all living entities and also Brahma that he is actually asking this question. And then going back to my first question of why Sukadeva Goswami is speaking and why he's not asking Narad Muni to speak. Because Narad Muni speaks, right? Then Sukadeva Goswami will not have an opportunity to glorify the merciful nature of Narad Muni to all the people assembled, that Narad Muni can take a position of an ignorant jiva just for the benefit of all living entities, including Brahma. So Sukadeva Goswami also glorify the devotion of Narad Muni, how he's so merciful to all the jiva, and for that he's actually taking a position as if he is actually ignorant. Normally, like, no one wants to show that they are ignorant. They say, oh, I know. Narad Muni is actually such a great personality. I am ignorant. I don't know. But that's only out of karuna. And that is glorifying the position of Narad Muni. Okay. So is that points clear of why Sukadeva Goswami is narrating, not asking Narad Muni, and then why Narad Muni, who's a pure devotee, is asking such a question. Okay. So you have asked me all these questions because I have been inspired to see into the progress of the Supreme Personality. Bhagavad Virya Darshan. Right? Okay. So we'll stop here. So I want to come up to this text 9 because this will answer the questions that I had posed earlier. And then Prabhupada in the purport, actually, he makes a point that as soon as a question is asked, a devotee becomes very enthusiastic. Oh, that is a question about Krishna. Thank you so much. That's a wonderful opportunity for me to speak. And Prabhupada says, this is a sign of a pure devotee. A pure devotee is one. When you ask something about Krishna, he gets excited, he gets enthused that now I have a chance to think about my dear Lord. I can meditate about my dear Lord. I can glorify my dear Lord. Such a wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And that is a sign of a pure devotee. Mad chita mad kata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So when questions are asked, then devotees, they actually get this opportunity for tushyanti and ramanti. They actually enjoy the bliss of meditating on Krishna and glorifying Krishna. And in Prabhupada makes a point. So the person who is asking the question, the person who is answering, the atmosphere there. All these things will get purified by this beautiful question answer session. Hence, Narad Muni has asked this question. And then Prabhupada further says, a devotee is not only eager to actually know about Krishna, but he is eager to broadcast this information all around the world. And that is the last sentence. That is the basic principle of missionary activities. Go out and preach. Once we know about Krishna, our task is go out and spread this message of Krishna consciousness all around the world. That is our mission. That is our ISKCON, right? It's the proper mission. Okay. We'll stop at text 9, and then the answers to these 6 questions we'll discuss next time. Okay. Okay. So thank you so much. So are there any realizations anyone would like to share before dropping in?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, when you asked this question that why Sukadeva Goswami is speaking and why Narad Muni is not speaking directly, I was thinking that Sukadeva Goswami is a disciple of Ved Vyasji, and Ved Vyas is a disciple of Narad Muni. So sometimes a guru likes to glorify his own devotee. That's why he's giving the opportunity to his guru to speak, for his disciple to speak.
Yeah, very nice, very much. It's a Narad Muni, actually a grand disciple, right, for Narad Muni. Yeah, so that's also a very nice point. Thank you. Beautiful point. Anyone else? Any realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, I like the last sentence what you are mentioned just now. Pure devotees are not only satisfied by knowing everything about the Lord, but also they're eager to broadcast the knowledge.
So we know about Krishna, we relish the knowledge of Krishna, and then we don't stop there. We go out and share this knowledge. Everyone should give Bhagavatam classes. From now on, everyone speaks Bhagavatam, speaks whatever you realize. Everyone gives classes. Speak Harikatha, right? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Once you said actually on the same context that once you know about Krishna, you cannot stop talking about Krishna.
That means that we really know Krishna. Yeah. If you know Krishna, you'll speak about Krishna because he's so wonderful. You know, I give this example that it's like a mundane example, but you will watch a movie and come back and like, oh, this movie is so good, and keep talking about that and keep thinking about that. Why? Because you're so absorbed in it. But now you get absorbed in Krishna, then we can stop talking about Krishna. We always want to seek opportunities to glorify Krishna. Thank you. Anything else? Any points?
I have one question. The very first Bhagavatam verse, it is said, Tene Brahmadi Kaviye. So there itself, the sages say, even Brahma gets all the knowledge from the Supreme Lord, right? So why is it, even brought up again that who is superior than you? Who is that you are meditating? Is it evident from there?
So because the main reason why this conversation is here, because Sukadeva Goswami wants to explain the aspect of creation. Right? So he wants to explain the aspect of creation. And in that conversation between Narada and Brahma, it starts off with Narada actually asking this question. That, oh, Brahma, I think you are the supreme. Like, Narad Muni knows, right? And maybe the sages, many of them know. But for the people to come, to make it very clear, it's Brahma's word that Krishna is supreme. Sukadeva Goswami again brought this. And then that leads on to the answers of Parikshit Maharaj's question in the previous chapter. How does creation take place? How does primary, secondary creation take place? How does the gunas actually work? So all that answers will be in this conversation. Right? So it is just the start of the entire conversation. Okay. So
I just wanted to add that all this, what you're explaining about the internal mood of these devotees who are speaking, it's so, like I never caught that before when I read Srimad Bhagavatam before, like all this internal, like how Narada is asking because of his merciful nature, and then also he wants to glorify, Sukadeva Goswami wants to glorify Narada, and then also that other verse in the previous chapter, Sukadeva is praying for all of us so we can relish Srimad Bhagavatam, and that merciful nature of the pure devotees. Like I never, like you can just read this in a just kind of a rote way, but that rasa, that mood of the devotees is so sweet. So I'm grateful for that understanding.
So beautiful, Bhagavatam. So relishable. Right? So it's fun to end. So thank you all so much. So I see our group is very quiet these days. So please keep reading and please sharing some questions, realizations. Please, everyone, at least 1 point in the entire week. Please post something on the group, whether there's just 1 point from a purport or something. Please keep the group active and have more comments. Right? Okay. Thank you all so much. Please continue every day Bhagavad Sevaya, and we will see you all next week. We will see you tonight. Hare Krishna. Kranta Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Kutasindu Devacha, Pratigana Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavyo.
Navibhyo namo namah.
So please remember the dates for the essay and the close book. I'll post it on the group also. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna. Dhanavad Pranam.
Thank you.
Hare
Dhanavad
Krishna
Pranam.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, all devotees. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for unloving classes as always. Thank you everyone for your association. Have a very nice Krishna conscious day. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.